All right, here we are. Can you even believe I might actually break YouTube by dressing up this much? I mean, let's see, it's going to tell me to have ads again. We know that. Do you love this?
Say hell no, motherfuckers!
If you decide that you have this particular talent, if you decide you have a particular talent for this stuff, you know, oh man, I don't know what I just did. I got another one over here. Don't worry about it. See, this is funny.
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
It's not every day that I'm going to dress up for you quite this much, so I hope you can really just savor this as if this was some sort of offering of beauty.
You done lost your damn mind.
Oh, I really love this outfit. I just was like, you know what? Why not go all the way? Let's just go all the way. I've got sequined shoes on again. You can see those right here. We'll give you the camera 4 shot on the sequined shoe again, showing my yoga dexterity. Look at that. Everybody's like, oh, wow, David's so dexterous. Well, that's nothing. Or I've been stretching. Yeah, that is real, honest to God, authentic gifting to you. You know, I want to be inclusive. I want to have the opportunity for you to soak in what it feels like to wear these clothes. You can vicariously process your life by just visually appreciating what has happened here. I mean, this is not any type of bad thing at all.
Hey, you want to laugh? This prick last week asked me to christen his kid. Yeah, all right, for $7,000 they charged me.
You really are a funny guy!
People, I don't know what that was. It does not get more studly than this. Oh, thank you.
Look at the organization here. Clockwise rim job, counterclockwise rim job. Dick bastard. Look at this. Chicks with dicks. You are spiraling out of control here.
Okay, you know, it's not easy to be a trans woman. There's a lot of prejudice in this world. Okay, I gotta get out of here, everybody. But now you've seen Trama, so we just crossed that boundary together. So thank you.
Okay, we'll come back once every 3 months, take a dive, and check on us.
And again, if you'd like the full-blown information, the 10.5-hour video course with 7 camera angles, high production value, that's available now at thedisclosure.com. It's the finest collection of all this sacred science and tying together the Michael message. Because what Michael ended up telling me is that they are coming back. The ETs are coming back. These human ETs I've been talking about, they are definitely coming back. All these ancient prophecies telling us that the world will be transformed.
Wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? He makes all this stuff up and claims that it's all true. The aliens want to eat us. Be careful that they don't get you. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal?
This is where if I have a live audience, I get everybody to hug each other. I say, give your neighbor a handshake or a hug, whatever you feel is appropriate to you. And that way everybody feels the love a little more. I will never believe it, I will never believe it. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you need 25,000 more years, I don't know, buddy. But look, this is really compelling information, and it's going to get a lot more intense. It's coming up in a couple days here on Sunday. So if you haven't already signed up and you've reopened the cart, you still have the payment plan in place.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. It's Monday, which is basically David Wilcock review day here. And, you know, over the weekend, I was at my cabin and somebody sent me a funny video, which I wish I would have shared, but it's on my phone. And anyway, it was about a woman who has a TikTok and Instagram channel where she gets millions of views. Not that we do here, but she gets a lot of views showing people her pet lizard. And it was sort of a comedic parody where she was screaming and yelling, like, I'm so tired of talking about this stupid lizard, but I got to post the pictures of this lizard every day so I can pay my bills and so I can eat. And regardless of how I feel currently about the coverage of David Wilcock, I feel like I don't have a choice. Like, we got to continue and see how much wackier it gets. And just when you don't think it can get any wackier, it gets wackier. Some highlights: David Wilcock has been talking about getting a $10 million loan, I think through Stevati, which will pay his debts and Stevati's debts and let them be fully funded so that they can produce hover cars with free energy engines. And I, for one, I want them to be fully funded because 2 years ago, David Wilcock claimed that within a year, he would have a working hover car prototype to show everyone. That was 2 years ago. But his excuse is, well, we didn't get funded. We don't have the money. And meanwhile, there's been a cavalcade circus around Stevati where investors are suing them, calling them a Ponzi scheme and investment scam. Creditors that did work on their facility are suing them, seeking liens and foreclosures on their only asset, which is an airplane hangar, which, by the way, hasn't produced anything in the years they've owned it. But it is storing garbage dumpsters, you know, for a few $1,000s a month. So there's that. You know, we've talked about this many, many times. David Wilcock lives in a false reality where he has a 200 or 180 IQ, where he's Earth's greatest prophet, even though he's predicted, everything he's predicted has never happened. And I've talked about this in detail before. You know, we've covered fake psychics, fake mediums, fake psychic healers. And all of them were better at this than David Wilcock. He is the worst fake psychic I have ever encountered in my entire life. Because even a broken clock or watch is right twice a day. David Wilcock is batting 0. And we're going to cover some of that tonight. We will begin tonight's broadcast just with a review of the false prophet. That's prophet with an F. Because... and pardon me, I didn't have time to make slides or make anything fancy. So we're going from my Google Docs, which I just blew up and made a little bigger. This is David Wilcock's past predictions. Number one, he said that we'd all get superpowers during a global ascension event when the year 2000 came about. That was what his entire first website, Ascension 2000, where he wrote, you know, thousands of pages of rambling nonsense for years. That's what his website was about, which he took down because none of his predictions about what would happen when the year 2000 came true. They were all wrong. He said we'd get superpowers and rainbow light bodies and there'd be a global ascension event in the year 2000. That didn't happen. And by the way, before we go through this, I just want to put on the record, you know, one of the things that keeps me so fascinated here with the Wilcock predictions of nonsense and, you know, garbage is it's like you want to see what idiotic, ridiculous nonsense things is he going to say next. And I, for one, am completely and totally blown away by the stupidity of anyone supporting this man. They are, David Wilcock's ideal audience are stupid people. Stupid people, old lady boomers, people who don't check anything he says or know any of his history. Because if you know his history, let's take a look. He said we'd all get superpowers in the year 2000. Did anybody get those superpowers? I forget. I don't recall getting superpowers in the year 2000. But don't worry, because 12 years later, or 11 and 10 years later, he would pull back that grift and repeat it. And once you know this man's history, you begin to understand that he repeats the same predictions over and over again because his followers are so ridiculously stupid that they don't remember that he already predicted this. That's been a recurring theme now. Just keep kicking the can and predicting it again. Maybe someday it'll happen, but his predictions are so pie in the sky, so childish, so stupid, and so ridiculous that they're never going to happen. I don't care how many times he repeats that there's going to be a global event where we all get superpowers. That's not going to happen. So number two, he repeated the same scam or grift again, leading up to 2012 because of all the Mayan prophecies and the end of the Mayan calendar. Oh my God, all these big global changing events are going to happen. And by the way, we've played them. There's videos of him saying this shit, and none of it happened. But meanwhile, this dumb son of a bitch can go live and, according to him at least, get 5,000 live viewers to hear what he has to say next. Now, I'm sure some of that is hate views, and I'm also fairly certain that a great many of those viewers are bot views or bot farms. They're not real viewers, because we've caught him previously where every single person chatting, or most of the people chatting in his live chat for a few minutes, turned into sex bots, like, sexy time for you, or big butts galore, or other all sex chat names. In his live chat, that happened. His live chat turned into sex bot viewers for a few minutes, and then it changed back into like Illuminati 452 and Angel of Light 8572. All the user IDs changed. That can only mean that he, at least for a time, was using bot views. So I don't trust that this man is getting 5,000 live viewers. Or maybe I'm just hopeful that that's not true, because I don't want to believe that there's 5,000 stupid people on planet Earth that think that this guy is telling you the truth. It's ridiculous. But in the year 2000, he did it again. And by the way, he's doing this again right now. Remember the mass arrests? Remember the 3 days of darkness? He's pulling that same scam and grift again. He waits a few years. All of his idiot followers forget that he already said this shit. And by the way, all of his live streams for the past, 4, 5, 6 weeks have been repeats of the same nonsense over and over and over again. So number two, in the year 2000, leading up to the 2012, starting at about 2010 forward, he did a series of books, lectures, public speaking events, videos, and more, claiming that we'd all get superpowers during a global ascension event and solar flash in 2012. And unfortunately, I recognized this one instantly because I was there around the year 2000 when this clown was saying that the first time. He put 10 years between those predictions. So that's a safe bet. Like, all those stupid people on the internet that listened to me the first time, they're probably gone. And now I got all new stupid people. And I'll just tell them again that we're getting superpowers. And by the way, there's always a hook of buy my crap with all these things. In the year 2000, it was buy something, buy a psychic reading. In the year 2012, it was buy my latest fake book full of nonsense, right? And he structures it like all these big things are happening and I know about it in advance. So buy my product and you'll be prepared for these big global world-changing events that never fucking happen. I'm so sick of this guy. So we don't get superpowers, rainbow light bodies during a global ascension event and a solar flash in 2012. And by the way, I left it off of this, but he did it again with Daniel Brinkley in 2020 or so, or maybe 2021, where he said, this big ascension event is happening and we'll all get rainbow light bodies. So really, he used the same fake psychic predictions 3 times, and each time he had something to sell his stupid followers. You got to buy my crap because this big thing is going to happen, and I'll tell you all about it for $333 or the cost of a book, or go to a live event where I'm speaking my nonsense, garbage, peddle bullshittery. Number 3. He predicted that Donald Trump would win the 2020 election. But I have to be fair and say that I was working on a web bot at the time that also predicted that. But I wasn't taking money from anybody. It was an experiment. But still, he predicted that Donald Trump would win the 2020 election in a landslide. He didn't win, wasn't a landslide. And by the way, let's once again mention the biblical concept of the test of a prophet. If a prophet is wrong even once, he is not a prophet in communication with divine or angelic sources. He's a false prophet. These are all incorrect, completely and totally wrong predictions that David Wilcock has made. And then in 2020, after Joe Biden won the election, David Wilcock in November of 2020, I remember it distinctly, he said that Joe Biden would never step foot in the White House and that they were going to overturn the election results before January when the president is inaugurated. That didn't happen. Joe Biden won, and Joe Biden did step foot in the White House, and he's still there today. Now, he may be shitting himself and not know where the hell he actually is, but he's in the White House. So still, David Wilcock is incredibly and totally 100% wrong. He also said in 2020, after January, when President Biden took occupancy of the White House, there was all these Q-tards, including David Wilcock, saying that, oh no, Biden's not in the real White House. It's a set. And Donald Trump is still the real president, and he would take back the White House from Biden because he was actually in command of the U.S. military. That was all Q-tard nonsense, complete and total bullshittery, right? And then, of course, oh, and I'm sorry, I must have numbered these wrong. It's supposed to be 7. Pardon me. This is what rushing through presentations happens. Okay. So there's the mass arrests and military tribunals. He's pulled this one out at least 10 times, saying that there's going to be huge mass arrests and Hillary Clinton and all the global cabal and deep state, the pea people, the pizza people, they're all going to be arrested. And then there's going to be military tribunals. And those people will all be imprisoned for their whatever sins, This is all conspiracy land nonsense. It's not a real prediction. It's just stuff he heard on the internet. Sounds good to me. I'm a Trump-tard. Let's say that this is going to happen. It never happened. Then, of course, we've played the clips for you previously. He then later said that the mass arrests already happened and that ships full of prisoners, including many of the global elite reptilian overlord cabal, people are headed to Guantanamo Bay. That never happened. None of that happened. And then, of course, there's the 3 days of internet darkness. The internet's going to shut down. Your television won't work. And all you're going to hear is this repeated message about the global arrests. But wait a minute, David Wilcock, you dumb son of a bitch. You already said the global arrests already happened. How are they happening again or still or what? what's going on? And I left a lot of things off here. He predicted that the sealed indictments would all be released and show the deep state cabal and all of this nonsense and the Pizzagate people and all this stuff. It never happened. Basically, David Wilcock was an idiot who parroted and repeated stupid Q-tard conspiracy theories. And we now know that all those Q-tard conspiracies and posts were complete and total nonsense. Anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together at least knows that. But David Wilcock has not yet given up on that. And now he's once again posting and reposting Q-tard nonsense from Shadows of Ezra. And we'll get into more of that as we continue with our presentation. But I wanted to make sure that we put on the record that David Wilcock, I think that it's clear that David Wilcock is completely and totally desperate. He's broke. He got caught with Corey Goode. That was a huge gotcha moment. Corey Goode, for those unaware, is a one-time partner in slime for David Wilcock. And they were on Gaia TV for 5 years telling secret space, Buck Rogers space adventures of Corey Goode's. And David Wilcock sat next to that clown for 5 years going, tell me more about your alien adventures in space, Corey Goode. And he pushed that shit hard. And they got live speaking fees. They made 2 documentaries full of fake information. I'm sure that in the Michael prophecies, he talks about Corey Goode, completely and totally wrong, by the way. But anyway, David Wilcock had a huge, big problem recently, and that was, and by the way, I'm taking the credit. And by the way, there's some dumb dickheads on Twitter that are arguing with me. Somebody, for those unaware, we were the people. I did that myself, Spooky, and Drew. We were the people who got all the Corey Goode depositions, and then we released them. But there's some dumb idiot on Twitter saying, oh, great, you just uploaded some videos that somebody gave you. You didn't do anything. No, I'm going to put this on the record, and this is important. History matters. And by the way, this person who's an idiot is a follower of somebody that decided to make an enemy of me. And I'm going to put this on the record too. I am the last person that you want to make an enemy out of, right? Because I try to be a good man, a good father, a good husband. But when somebody falsely accuses me of something on the internet, I'm human. I lose my goddamn mind a little bit. And because of a legal situation, I took all the Corey Goode videos down, all of them, including those depositions. But I was okay with doing that because those depositions have been copied and mirrored to hundreds, perhaps thousands of other distribution points on the internet. But we here at Truth Seekers were the first people to publish all of the depositions. And just to correct the record, no, somebody did not just give them to me. I was on the phone. I was through emails. I was desperate to get those depositions because one of my sources told me how incredible the admissions and the revelations in those Corey Goode depositions were. I wanted to get them and I wanted to publish them because I was looking around and nobody had them. Nobody was publishing them. And so I was on the phone. I was calling everybody that may have had access to them. And to this day, I've protected my source and I won't reveal who gave them to me. But some dummy is on Twitter right now saying, oh, somebody just gave them to you, Stephen. No, nobody just gave them to me. I hunted them and then I got them. And then myself, Spooky, and Drew, to their credit, more them than me, spent 12 hours a day for, I think it was 7 or 10 days. As best I recall, 7 or 10 days, 12 hours a day, we had to go through every line of those depositions and we had to edit out anything that would be private information or legally problematic or objectionable. So we did that here in order to publish those depositions. So every time you see a Corey Good deposition, you're welcome. You're welcome. I was willing to do the work. So was Spooky. So was Drew, because we all felt it was important. It wasn't just important to prove that Corey Good had been lying to everybody for years and years and years and years, because this also implicated David Wilcock in a conspiracy to defraud the public with completely and totally fake, made up stories for money. And so we went through all those depositions. And not only that, but to be very honest with you, I got bad legal advice. And the bad legal advice that I got at the time we were working to release those depositions was, somebody told me, Stephen, you can't just release the depositions even after you've spent 12 hours a day for 7 or 10 days, redacting any private or personal information, blurring stuff out, whatever. You can't just release just the raw depositions. You have to also do commentary over 6 hours of these depositions in order to make it legal for you to release them in their raw form. And we did that, another 12 hours a day to prepare and get ready. Well, maybe not 12, 3 or 4 to get through them. And that was a whole circus for a full week here. And I'm not complaining, but when some uninformed, low information viewer, I call them the libs, the low information viewers, says something stupid to me on Twitter, like, well, Stephen, somebody just gave you those depositions, you released them. You didn't work for that story. No. Are you an idiot? Are you like, I almost used the R word. I know not to do that. I have a special needs son myself. I apologize for even thinking it. But if you think that I didn't do anything, I didn't work for that story. And by the way, that was just one of the how many exclusive stories that we've worked our ass off to get to the public, right? So I get really personally offended when somebody tries to disparage me that's a low information viewer and doesn't understand how these things work. We worked incredibly hard to release those depositions. Now back to the point. Because we released those depositions, we all know now, especially through the testimony of Jay Widener and others, we all know essentially that David Wilcock conspired, in my opinion, in many people's opinion, David Wilcock conspired with Corey Good to make up and sell the public fake stories about a secret space program that never existed from a clown in the form of Corey Good, who admitted under oath he'd never even been to space. And we know that because we released all those depositions. You're welcome. But back to the other major point, David Wilcock had a huge problem because we released those depositions. And his huge problem was everybody knows that David Wilcock spent 5 years of his life selling completely and totally made up fictional fake stories about a secret space program and a secret space astronaut that never even been to space. Everybody knew that Corey Good and David Wilcock had spent 5 years lying and selling completely fake stories to people. Everybody knew it. And they knew it because of me and Drew and Spooky, who worked our tails off for a full-on week. And again, I'm not complaining. In the long span of the history of my show here, I'll look fondly on that. There wasn't enough coffee that week to finish the work that we needed to do this. But I knew it was pivotally important. Somebody had to release those depositions. And by the way, I have previously shared on my Google Drive the legal threats I was under. I got threatened like you wouldn't believe. You got to take those down or you're getting sued and those are confidential. And I was told by Corey Good's lawyer, and I'm paraphrasing, I have the letter, I'll share it with anybody who wants to see it. I essentially got told by Corey Good's lawyer, those depositions are personal and confidential, and you releasing them is illegal. And you're going to face all these consequences, and you better preserve all your documents. They were trying to find the source of who gave them to me. And so, a weaker or less courageous man than me might have said, it's not worth it. Take them all down right after we started releasing them. When we released the first one out of 6, they sent me that legal threat letter. But we held firm in the truth, and we held firm in our right to publish. And I don't want to get too melodramatic, but I thought a lot about Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning and others, Snowden, who knew there may be consequences to publishing. There's always perhaps going to be some consequences, but I kept coming back to what is the right thing to do? Do people deserve to know the truth that Corey Goode and David Wilcock have been lying to everybody for 5 or 8 years straight? Does the public, is it in the public's best interest to know that these two people have made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, pushing completely and totally fake made up stories that they claimed were all real? And so I took a long walk and I made the decision to pull that trigger and publish those depositions. I would never change that decision. And by the way, later, after legal threats and some other YouTuber who's a bitter, jealous, angry little man, some other person claimed that I was only successful with our show here because I covered Corey Goode and he did it first. And I want to put something else on the record here that's very important. No one owns any subject. If you want to make a show like I do, good for you. I think there needs to be more shows like Truth Seekers. And by the way, there is now. After years of me doing this show, there are suddenly a few other shows that are very critical of conspiracy land and UFO claims and alien claims and all of this stuff. And I suppose I could have been like that jealous, bitter, angry little man and tried to claim that, oh, you're successful because you stole something from me or you ripped off my show or whatever. First of all, I've covered hundreds of other topics and hundreds of other people that show host making those accusations never did. I was here long before he was, or at the same time he was, but I was just in audio podcast land, maybe not on some YouTube people who just consume YouTube's, radar, but I was here for just as long as he was. So, people have come to me and said, and after now with our success of our show, people have come to me and said, oh, that guy's ripping off your show, Stephen. No, I don't really see it that way. Sometimes maybe I get a little territorial and I think, because to be very honest, would it be better if those 3 or 4 other shows that are like my show now weren't there and I got all their views too? It might be better for me, but I'm one of those people that, someone else's success can never take away from mine. And that bitter, angry, jealous show host, who's a lazy slob. Let's be honest. I was more successful because he was lazy. That's why I was more successful. It wasn't because I took anything from him. And if any of those other shows that are critical of this stuff like mine, first of all, I don't agree with people who send me messages like that. Occasionally, I can be a little territorial and think that or get angry. Because there have been times when, like, I've done a show and then the next day another show does my same show. And some people, let's be clear, there are some people that just straight take things from my show. But I just don't let it bother me because I think that the world needs more critical voices and we need more critical thinkers and more people that are going to be skeptical of all this nonsense going on. So I try to be the bigger man and let it go and say, good for them. Good for them. I hope they're successful. And that person that was slagging me could have been that kind of person, but he decided not to. Back to my point, I took all the Corey Good stuff down because somebody was claiming I was only successful because I covered Corey Good. So we took everything down. Well, that and some legal threats. We took everything down. And then we became more successful. And after we stopped covering Corey Good, all the views shot up. They went way up. The subscribers shot way up. They went way up because we just pivoted to other topics. I'm not tied to a specific individual. And the success of my show is not tied to covering this person or that person. The success of my show is tied to the effort that we put forth and the energy and the passion and the power and the glory and the praise and the cash. I got to tell you, thank you all for helping me. You got to praise the cash to keep the thing going. So we took all that stuff down just to prove to that angry, bitter, jealous little man, I don't need to cover Corey to be successful. Now, I guess he'll claim I shouldn't cover Wilcock too, but he wasn't really known for Wilcock. He covered Wilcock occasionally. And we've become known for being experts on Corey Good's long line of bullshittery. So Corey Good and David Wilcock had a huge problem when those depositions came out, and everybody finally had to admit, even Corey's followers, some of them very ardent supporters, have sent me emails saying, I'm so sorry that I said this or that about you. You were right the whole time or whatever. So David Wilcock had a huge problem recently. When those depositions dropped, everybody knew that David Wilcock had been selling lies to everybody for years. So David Wilcock had to go away for a while. And you know it. You know it's called the Cosmic Con Shuffle. When you get caught selling completely and totally fake stories, especially when you get caught real good and dead to rights, you got to shuffle away, do the Cosmic Con Shuffle, and go away for a little while and hope everybody forgets that you just got caught selling completely and totally fake stories. In this case, David Wilcock got caught selling completely and totally fake secret space stories for 5 or 8 years. That's a long time to be selling fake stories and making, by some accounts, millions of dollars, incorporating. Now, of course, Wilcock had some of his own material, but he was always injecting the Corey Good fake stories with his other nonsense and weaving the bullshit all together. It's a big basket of bullshit. You got to weave it, right? But everybody knew that he'd been selling completely and totally fake shit for years. So what did Wilcock do? He went away for a while. And what he did to pivot is the stupidest thing I've ever saw. I guess he's worried he can't get another insider because every one of his insiders gets busted as fake. Emery Smith, completely fake. Pete Peterson, completely fake. An old senile con artist. That's who Pete Peterson was. He wasn't anything David Wilcock portrayed him to be. And then Corey Good got busted. That's 3 of David Wilcock's so-called government insiders that he was selling people that got busted. 3 in a row as completely and totally fake. Fakers, liars, scammers, grifters. So I believe Wilcock went away and he was like, oh, I can't risk a 4th one. You know, I can't get another grifting partner. He did grift with Danny and Brinkley. You remember that guy, the guy that dies for cash? He died apparently, and then he wrote a book about his near-death experience. Then that dried up and he needed money again, so he died again and wrote another book. Then he was supposed to be almost dying or ready to die, and he sold a course with David Wilcock. That was another clown, fake garbage peddler that Wilcock teamed up with. And he gets, you know, so I think he went away and he's like, oh no, I got an idea. Forget selling these insiders. I'll become my own insider. And now David Wilcock is claiming that he's in constant communication with the Archangel Michael. And this, in addition to suddenly recovering memories that he too was in the secret space program. And now there is a whole new group of predictions that Wilcock has made recently. Now, remember the predictions that we've already been through. We'll review them real quickly again. We'd get superpowers in 2000, didn't happen. We'd get superpowers during a global ascension event and solar flash in 2012, didn't happen. Donald Trump would win the 2020 election in a landslide, didn't happen. Joe Biden would never step foot in the White House, never happened. Remember, this guy's claiming to be a psychic and a prophet. Donald Trump is still a real president, would take back the White House because he was in command of the U.S. military, never happened. 6 mass arrests in military tribunals, never happened. Mass arrests already happened. Never happened. No proof of that. Ships full of prisoners heading to Guantanamo Bay. Never happened. That never happened. There's no proof of that. 3 days of internet darkness and mass arrests, again, never happened. And some of these predictions, again, you can see that he pulls the same prediction out several times. Now we get David Wilcock, new predictions. And so, listen, if this man's claiming to be Earth's greatest prophet or a prophet at all, look, if he's claiming to be a prophet, don't we have to consider his track record? Don't we have to do that? Is that like a reasonable thing to think about? Like, okay, this guy's claiming to be a psychic and a prophet. So shouldn't we take into consideration his track record? I just showed you all of his previous predictions that failed incredibly. They failed incredibly. And I am just amazed at the stupidity of David Wilcock's viewers. But what we do know is that David Wilcock has low information viewers. What does that mean? Yes, they don't check him. They don't know his history of making these false claims. They don't know how many times he's been wrong. They don't fact check him at all. They just believe him. And that means that they are susceptible and vulnerable to predation. What do I mean? Well, if you don't know someone's history of selling completely and totally false things, then you may be gullible enough to believe them. But I'm here to tell you, friends, it's like G.I. Joe. Knowing is half the battle. If you know the history of these grifters, then you will not be fooled, or you will not become a victim of them. They will not be allowed to victimize you. Pardon me, dead air is the bane of my existence. And I apologize to you audio participants for the audio podcast. Got a cough drop. Should be okay. Okay. So we've covered in detail Wilcock's last failed predictions. And by the way, that's not all of them. That's just the major of them. So David Wilcock, coming off of the stunning revelations that Corey Goode was a complete and total fabricator, liar, bullshitter, grifter, scammer, whatever you want to call it. And Wilcock was all chips in selling that bullshit for years. He needed to come up with some new stuff. And I think he's desperate because, first of all, one rule of a good fake psychic is you don't give hard dates. Wilcock is giving hard dates. He's giving predictions with dates. So here are David Wilcock's latest, I called them new predictions. Number one, there will be a mass disclosure and mass alien contact event by the middle of 2025. And he said, oh, I don't even think it's going to take that long. So it's coming any day now. And remember, there is a proven pattern of David Wilcock predicting major earth-shattering events every time he has something to sell you, right? Oh, the year 2000 is coming up, and all these major events are going to happen. Buy a psychic reading. Buy my crap. 2012, all these major earth-shattering events are going to happen. The whole world's going to change, and I know about it in advance. Buy my book, right? And And of course, he pulled the ascension thing several more times in the midst of the Corey Good salesmanship. Number two, the coming November 2024 presidential election will never take place. He said that'll never take place. It's not, big things are going to happen to change the world, and that election will never take place. Now, of course, I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but I can pull the original clips of what he said if people are going to, nitpick with me. I prefer to say prove me wrong that he didn't say that. He lies constantly. Number three, there will be a mass global ascension event by the middle of 2025 or sooner. Number four, he will become the father of free energy and anti-gravity. Number five, Stavati Aerospace will get fully funded and start producing not just airplanes, but his free energy-powered anti-gravity hover cars within a year of them getting funded or getting the loan that they are seeking. He said this several times. Number six, he has predicted or said that he'll get new superpowers once the Ascension event takes place. Number seven, he said that he will be hailed as the savior of the human race when these world-changing events happen. Number eight, he said that he fully expects that the government will ask him to be an official ambassador to these arriving aliens, human-looking extraterrestrials. By the way, he's also claiming in his latest dream that maybe his next girlfriend or wife is going to be one of these human-looking extraterrestrials. Now, let's move on to just this subject, which is the ridiculous claims that David Wilcock has made. He claims that he has a 180 IQ, or it may even be as high as 200. Friends, that would make him the smartest man on earth. Make him smarter than Einstein, smarter than Neil deGrasse Tyson, smarter than, I don't know, Stephen Hawking, smarter than Carl Sagan. This man's ego knows no bounds. Now, I get that he thinks he's smart, but like, the fact that he would go on a public live stream and claim he has a 180 IQ without some paperwork, like, where's his Mensa application? Can he even pass that test? Number two, he claims that he is Edgar Casey reincarnated, and we have talked about this ad nauseum. He refused to take the test that the Edgar Casey Foundation has for people claiming that. And in fact, members of Edgar Casey's family and the executive director of the Edgar Casey Foundation don't want him claiming that or making money off of Edgar Casey's legacy because they don't believe that he's Edgar Casey reincarnated. And wouldn't his family members and the people that run the Edgar Casey Foundation be the authorities on who is Edgar Casey reincarnated and not Wilcock? But Wilcock's a slimeball. And if he can make $1 making bullshitting, he will. And I'm just here to tell you, if I was a relative of anybody and somebody was on the internet claiming that they were them reincarnated and I didn't believe them, I would take legal action to stop them from making money, making false claims about being my family member reincarnated. I'm just here to tell you he's lucky that they haven't done that. I would, and I'm sure several of you would. Imagine if somebody claimed that they were your grandfather reincarnated and they were on the internet saying that so that they could make money. Would you have a problem with that? The Edgar Casey Foundation has a problem with that. Edgar Casey's remaining family members have a problem with Wilcock claiming that. But here we are, and he's still claiming that. And by the way, I think he shied away from that for a while because of the criticism from the Edgar Casey Foundation and the family members. And he moved on to other grifts, but now he's desperate. Like I said, after he got caught with Corey Good, he became desperate. So now he's making, like I said, you don't give dates if you're a fake psychic. He's giving dates. Number three, David Wilcock, with no evidence whatsoever, claims he's been fighting the deep state through various lives for 1,200 years. Number four, he claims that he was molested or SA'd by reptilian aliens with zero evidence No evidence whatsoever. Well, he showed some drawings he made when he was, 8 years old, as if that's some form of evidence. It's not. And let's take a moment just to examine the ethical and moral implications of claiming, "Hey, I'm an SA survivor," while you're begging for super chats. That is an insult to every survivor of assault of that nature on planet Earth. So, David Wilcock claims to be so spiritually enlightened. Listen, a real spiritual guru would never claim to be a victim of SA while dancing around for super chats. That's ridiculous. And one of my favorites, he claims that he was killed and brought back to life by reptilian aliens after they ate him. That's right. They'll kill you and bang you and eat you. I'm not sure what order. People have asked me, what is the order? Do they bang you first, then eat you, then bring you back to life? Or do they eat you, then bang you, and then bring you back to life? Or do they eat you and bring you back to life and then bang you once you're alive? Are they reptilian necrophiliacs? Are they banging you while you're dead? I don't understand this claim. And as ridiculous as that is, Wilcock has stuck to it. He was killed and brought back to life by reptilian aliens. Number 7, the government, he said this is, again, we're covering his former past ridiculous claims. He said the government is going to send tanker trucks into cities and drain everyone's gas tanks. That's so that nobody can escape the cities when these global events happen. Do you know how many tanker trucks you would need to drain the gasoline of every car in a major city? This is the kind of ridiculousness. Like, I'll just do this. How many cars are there in Philadelphia? We'll just take Philadelphia as an example. It's where I grew up. There are 562,000 vehicles are owned or rented, according to census data. So David Wilcock is claiming that the government's going to send tanker trucks in to drain the gasoline from more than 500,000 vehicles. How many tanker trucks would you need to drain the gasoline out of 500,000 vehicles? I don't know, average gas tank, 30, 40 gallons? How many gallons does a tanker truck hold? This is where I say again that David Wilcock's followers are idiots. They're stupid. They're dumb as rocks. Yeah, I mean, do a little bit of math. How many tanker trucks? Let's do this. Average capacity of a tanker truck. The average capacity of a tanker truck is between 3,000 and 11,000 gallons. All right, so still 500,000 vehicles, 500,000 times 30. That's how many gallons of gasoline there would be. And you have trucks that could store between 3,000 and 11,000 gallons. So somebody better than math than me, do the math. How many tanker trucks would you need to drain the gasoline out of every car in a major city? It's just so stupid and so childish. I can't believe that none of his followers can catch that. Like, wait a minute, this is completely and totally mathematically impossible. You'd need 100,000 tanker trucks. And what, nobody would notice when 100 or 200,000 tanker trucks rolled into Philadelphia or New York City and just started draining everybody's gas tanks? It's so stupid, so childish, and so ridiculous. But welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock. Number 8, the government is going to blow up bridges to keep people from escaping from major cities. Wilcock said that. The government's going to blow up bridges. Why would you blow up your own infrastructure? Does that make any sense? Why wouldn't you just put some barriers out and some National Guard troops and stop people from crossing the bridge? Why would you blow up your own infrastructure? But this makes no sense. But then again, nothing Wilcock says makes sense because he's an idiot. And so is anybody that believes him. And, I'm back to not being as kind as I should to his gullible, dumb as rocks believers. I don't have the time or energy to be kind to stupid people anymore. If you're that dumb that you think the government is going to send tanker trucks and drain the gasoline out of every major city's vehicles, and how many major cities are in the United States? There's not enough tanker trucks in the United States to do this, David Wilcock, you dummy. Another ridiculous claim. The deep state is trying to murder him or his wife. There's no proof. There's no evidence of that. And by the way, why don't you, if somebody was trying to murder your wife, wouldn't you seek help from, I don't know, the police, the FBI, Soldiers of Fortune, the A-Team, somebody, and you'd have some documentation to prove that there's been threats made against your wife or your life? I'm a married man, and if somebody was threatening my wife, I would do everything within my means. I'd have lawyers on whoever was threatening her. I'd have police. I'd have FBI. I'd have, friends of mine in the military here protecting my home. I'd have documentation and sufficient proof to prove that somebody was threatening my wife. Wilcock has zero proof that anybody ever threatened him or his wife. And everybody can remember that one time he was on the phone with Kerry Cassidy crying that ninjas from the Golden Dawn Society or whatever the hell it was were trying to break into his house and kill him because his information is so important. And that's another major point. All the grifters do this. Oh, they're trying to murder me because my information is so groundbreaking and important and so dangerous. Does anybody really think that the deep state is really like, David Wilcock's telling everybody that if you take baths in your own piss, you get superpowers. And the Archangel Michael told him that. So you know what? We got to kill him. We can't have him on the internet telling people to take baths in their own piss to get superpowers. What if everybody gets superpowers? How are we going to deal with the superpowered populace that we can't control? It's so childish, so ridiculous, and so stupid that I wonder, how dumb do you have to be to believe this shit from David Wilcock? But no matter how dumb you think David Wilcock's followers are, they're dumber even than that. He's also claimed that he's risking his life to share his fake stories and failed prophecies. Did I spell that wrong? Oh, prophecies. There we go. Sorry, rushing tonight's presentation. Number 12, ridiculous claim. The Archangel Michael says Corey Good's testimony is entirely true. That was right before Corey Good's deposition. He wrote that in a book, which means that David Wilcock fails the test of a prophet. He's not speaking to the Archangel Michael because the Archangel Michael said Corey Good's testimony is entirely true or mostly true. I don't remember the exact wording. 13, Pete Peterson was a real government insider. We've covered this. Pete Peterson was a senile old con artist who ran pump and dump stock scams pretending to be a tech early pioneer, pretending that he worked for Ronald Reagan, pretending he had all these patents. He has no patents. He never worked for Ronald Reagan. He never worked for the Russian Space Administration. He was a complete and total con artist, and David Wilcock fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Number 14, he claims that he's building these free energy-powered anti-gravity hover cars with Pete Peterson's government insider friends. So that's great. We've proven here that Pete Peterson was a complete and total con artist and a liar and a scammer, and his entire background was fictitious and made up. So David Wilcock is running around telling everybody he's building free energy-powered anti-gravity hover cars with Pete Peterson's government insider friends. Just one problem. Pete Peterson is not a government insider. He's a con artist. So you're building hover cars with a con artist's friends? Are they con artists too? I know what I think. They might be con artists too, David Wilcock. Number 15, Christopher Beskar built 3,000 spaceships for the secret space program. Another typo. Sorry about that. 3,000 spaceships for the secret space program. Christopher Beskar is a man that has been running an aerospace company for decades. Is it 20 or 30 years? I think it might be going on 30 years. And he has yet to produce a single airplane. But he somehow managed to build 3,000 secret space ships for the secret space program. Is that the same secret space program that David Wilcock lied about for 8 years with Corey Good? Or is this a different secret space program, a real one? because the whole secret space program that David Wilcock pushed for 5 or 8 years was completely and totally fake, fictitious stories from Corey Goode. This one's one of my favorite. Beskar armor from The Mandalorian was named after Christopher Beskar. And we called Christopher Beskar, and he said, yes, that's true. Then somebody got to the writer of The Mandalorian, who doesn't know who Christopher Beskar is, and explained where Beskar armor came from. It wasn't named after Christopher Beskar. So both the CEO of Stavati Aerospace, Christopher Beskar, and David Wilcock are completely and totally caught lying to people about that. Never happened. Then we get 18. Shadows of Ezra is Ezra Cohen. No, he's not. And we're going to show you proof of that. Shadows of Ezra is the official communication officer of the Alliance. The Alliance is a fictional fake group of the government, which was invented by con artist Pete Peterson. Not a reliable source of information. The Alliance doesn't exist. But David Wilcock's too dumb to actually do research into his fake government whistleblowers, so he just believes everybody. 20. Shadows of Ezra is following David's streams and posting things from about David's streams. No, somebody got to Shadows of Ezra, and he doesn't even know who David Wilcock was. But then when he heard what David Wilcock was doing in relation to his posts, said that David Wilcock was insane. And those are real screenshots. Wilcock's trying to claim that they were faked. No, they're not. Prove it, you lying scumbag. Prove it. Prove those screenshots are fake, you lying, grifting scumbag, degenerate, sleazeball loser. How many times you been caught lying? Now you're going to lie and say those screenshots from Shadows of Ezra are fake? We proved they're real. I have a background in computer science, you asshole. What's your background? Oh, lying to people, scamming people. That's your background. No, those screenshots are real. Shadows of Ezra indeed said he didn't know who David Wilcock was, and then when informed what David Wilcock was doing, said, he sounds insane. Okay, so 21, he is in frequent communication with the Archangel Michael and also Mary, the mother of Jesus. As a Christian, that is completely and totally offensive. And in fact, any Christian should be offended that David Wilcock is involving Christian theology in his scams. And let's be clear, unless he can 100% prove that those books came from the Archangel Michael, there's a good case to be made that those books are scams. Scams and consumer fraud. Can you prove 100% that those books came from the Archangel Michael? If not, that's a scam. And by the way, I'm considering filing a whistleblower complaint against David Wilcock for consumer fraud with the United States government. I'm tired of this. 22, the Archangel Michael gave David Wilcock secret sacred knowledge and prophecies for mankind, and the Archangel Michael wants David to sell those books for $333. Does that sound like that makes sense? I know you followers of David Wilcock are dumb as shit, but how dumb do you have to be to believe that the Archangel Michael, first of all, would choose to share his message with a lifelong scamming grifter, new age con artist like David Wilcock? First of all, and second of all, go, you know what? These are hugely important prophecies, predictions, secret and sacred knowledge that all humankind need to hear. These are world-changing revelations. And I'm going to give them to con artist, alleged con artist, David Wilcock. And not only that, but I'm going to let David Wilcock, instead of giving these revelations away, these world-changing, important revelations, instead of letting him give those away to the human race, I'm going to tell him to sell those revelations for $333. Does that make sense to anybody else? Or does it sound like a scam? Because if it sounds like a scam and looks like a scam, it might be a scam, friends. All right. Wow, we've gotten through that. Now we're going to go through the clips, and I want to thank Macario. It's at Macario Mend. But before we do that, I had something else here, and now I lost it. All right, we'll come back to that. One moment here. Oh, no. And as far as David Wilcock being a big Trump supporter, well, we have some proof of what real people think. And I wasn't going to play this because this is a bit much, but I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. And we want to thank the voices in my head for this. And this is somebody going up to a random girl. Wait, let me put this up just to be clear. This is transformative work and a comedic parody. But David Wilcock likes to tell everybody that, you know, he's a big Trump supporter and he's got Trump slippers and he's never met 45, but he hopes to someday, and maybe he'll get a job in 45's new administration. What is the director of bullshit? Well, like, what do you know, it's so ridiculous. But anyway, Voices in My Head did this, and I thought this was hysterical. First of all, Wilcock is a Q-tard Trumper. And look, I try to stay out of politics, but if you're dumb enough to believe Q-tard posts, you're dumb as rocks. You don't have a 180 IQ. You're an idiot. Proven nonsense. But let's take a moment. You know what I need? A cigarette. Yeah, that's what I need. A cigarette and a cough drop? I don't know. All right. Let's take a listen to this. Just for some comedic relief before we get into some of the latest clips from David Wilcock's latest stream. If you're just now joining us, I want to remind you to please like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. It really, really does help. Consider joining our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We tell people the truth, right? I can't sell fake angel prophecy books for $333 for our show to survive. You know, we have to do good research and put forth good effort here, unlike the laziest fake prophet on earth, David Wilcock. But back to this, because this was just funny. I'm sorry. You can call me a bad person for sharing this, but I'm sharing it because I'm sick of this David Wilcock guy.
Do you think that this guy is a Democrat or a Republican?
He looks like a faggot.
Why?
Just the way he is acting and like his mannerisms, the way he looks, like I can just tell he supports Biden.
Do you think that this guy is a Democrat or a Republican?
He looks like a faggot.
Why?
Just the way he is acting and like his mannerisms, the way he looks, like I can just tell he supports Biden.
Looks like a Biden supporter. And he looks like a homosexual. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And I, for one, think if you're homosexual, just come out of the closet, Mr. Wilcock. You know, it's a different time and place than when you were young. You know, you're allowed to, you want to suck some cocks, you're allowed to. You could totally just, you know, blow some dudes if that's what you like. If you're a big fan of the cock, just, yeah. All right. We're gonna get into the pardon the comedic relief, but I just can't help it anymore. And yeah. All right. Here's David Wilcock. Again, I have some questions about this one. This is David Wilcock tweeting. And by the way, David Wilcock is an intellectual weakling and a coward. I have never said anything to him on Twitter, but he blocked me on Twitter because, you know, you can figure out why he blocked me on Twitter. But I never replied to one of his threads. I never tweeted at him. He just blocked me. But somebody Macario got this and says he's telling his followers that he barely paid his mortgage. What mortgage? If he is paying money for the house, how much is he paying and who is he giving it to? Over a year ago on a live stream, he said the same thing. We saw that vested funding is the one paying the $11,000 in property taxes. So David Wilcock transferred, for those unaware, he's in a lot of problems with the IRS, and he transferred ownership of his multi-million-dollar home to a shell corporation called Vested Funding LLC, which is directly or indirectly connected to Liz Lurie, one-time attack lawyer of both Corey Goode and David Wilcock. And Vested Funding is paying the property taxes, so it doesn't appear that there is a mortgage on the home. But David Wilcock is here saying everybody's congratulating him because he got a big loan. I think he said it was $10 million, and they have to pay back $15 million. Not a great interest rate. I hope he doesn't get his kneecaps broken. He says, thank you. I have to say it feels amazing, and I thank you all for your ongoing support. I just barely managed to pay the mortgage this month, so this will be a very welcomed pain reliever. Well, according to public documents, David Wilcock doesn't own the home that he's living in. So who is he paying a mortgage to? Right? I'd like to know. Interesting. So is he lying about paying a mortgage, or what's the deal there? It doesn't make any sense. All right, so we're going to go through these clips, and I want to thank Macario, at Macario Mend on Twitter, for collecting these clips. For those unaware, we used to go through the whole 3 or 4 hours of his stream, and it takes forever. Now we've got Macario Mend, who is making the clips of the most relevant. And by the way, Macario reached out to me and said, all he did was repeat the same shit for this week too, so I didn't clip any of that. And we don't want to hear the repeats. We want to hear what is new or relevant. So Macario says, this sounds strange. So Stavati is getting a loan, but he had to promise to pay debt first. How much do they have left to build anything? And for those unaware, Stavati is, by our estimation, at least $1.5 million in debt. They're being sued for around $500,000 from their creditors, various different creditors, and they're being sued for over, I think it's $1 million or more, from one of their investors that they took $1 million from and never paid back. By the way, before we get to this clip, let me just put this on the record. David Wilcock, his shady aerospace company, took $1 million investment from somebody who is now suing them and calling their company an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme, and they promised him $5 million back. Not only did they not give him the $5 million back for the $1 million that he loaned them, he didn't get his principal amount, his $1 million back. So when I say Stavati owes $1.5 million, that's not really accurate. They actually owe that investor, according to court documents, $5 million back, according to the contract he signed when he gave them the $1 million. So let me try to make this clear. This person suing Stavati gave them $1 million, and Stavati said, David Wilcock and his buddy Chris Pescar said, thanks for the $1 million. We'll give you $5 million back. They haven't given a dime back, and that person sued them. Then there's $500,000 or so, to the best of my recollection, that goes to creditors, people they owe money to. And then David Wilcock has said that he's $1.5 million in debt to the IRS. Then there's $60,000 in a tax lien on his home. That's not really his home because he transferred it to a funding, a vested funding LLC connected to Liz Lurie, or allegedly connected to Liz Lurie. So Wilcock is 1.5. If we say Stavati is $5.5 million in debt, at least, that's just the debts that we know about because of the court cases. Stavati may owe more money. And then Wilcock owns $1.5 million. So we have 5.5 and 1.5. That's $7 million that they owe. Apparently, according to court documents, that's $7 million, according to court documents and David Wilcock's statements. So we've got $5.5 million owed by Stavati, according to court documents. And then we've got $1.5 million owed to the IRS, according to David Wilcock. So that would be $7 million. And then they claim they're getting a loan for $10 million, but they have to pay back $15 million. So after they pay their debts, they're only going to have $3 million. $3 million? How far is that going to go to building airplanes, manufacturing facilities, paying salaries of hundreds of employees it would take to actually manufacture anything? None of this is going to work. The math doesn't add up. But don't let that bother you, because David Wilcock is sure that he's going to be the father of anti-gravity. And here he is claiming, Macario says, this sounds strange. Stavati is getting a loan, but they had to promise to pay debts first. How much will they have left to build anything? The investment they were sued for. Yeah.
Because our company has debts, we had to.
One second. Let me put up our fair use banner here. This is fair use. It is a transformative work. We are educating the public about David Wilcock and his various ridiculous claims. In this one, he's claiming they're getting a $10 million loan, but they got to pay their debts first. And he's so dumb he doesn't realize that because of our coverage here, the public now knows that they're like $7 million in debt between, according to their own statements and the court documents. They're $7 million in debt. That will only leave $3 million to do all the pie in the sky things that David Wilcock is claiming that they're going to do, like invent hover cars with free energy engines you can power your home from and sell them, and another aircraft, right? David Wilcock's followers must be dumb as goddamn rocks to believe this guy. They can't do third grade math to add it up and go, oh, you're getting a $10 million loan, but you owe $7 million, so that only leaves $3 million. Great. Fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We'll critique the video we are sharing. This is fair use.
Because our company has debts, we had to sign off on an affidavit that certifies in writing with the notarization that when we get our money that we're going to pay off all outstanding debts. And that's what we have signed. So we've now done that. And it's very exciting because getting that signed and notarized was the last step before we're supposedly going to close on Monday or Tuesday.
He's been saying for 5 weeks, I believe, that they're going to get the money next week.
So thank you guys for your support. I know you've been really pulling for us to get this done. It's something nobody else is doing. We do have conventional airplanes as well as hover car technology.
They don't have any airplanes. Stavati's been in business almost 30 years. They've never produced a single airplane. They showed a video of one they didn't own, but they bought the designs for, but they didn't own the actual airplane. They never manufactured the actual airplane or sold the airplane. And thanks to John Christian Spadavaccia for bringing that revelation to the table. David Wilcock's whole world is just lies.
The same stuff that was declassified by the Navy with the Salvatore Pais patents.
By the way, David Wilcock is claiming that he's going to build hover cars and free energy devices with Salvatore Pais patents. But yet, that's illegal. You can't just take somebody's patent and then create a for-profit company and sell their patented technology. And to my knowledge, he has not received licenses for that technology. Show me the paperwork, David Wilcock. How are you stealing somebody's patent? And by the way, there's still no proof that Salvatore Pais' patents for his free energy and anti-gravity devices actually work. And he has famously said that he left the secret sauce out of those patents so nobody could recreate it but him. So how's David Wilcock going to recreate it? Does he have the secret sauce? I doubt it. I totally doubt it.
And so this is real. This is not a joke. It's not something to be laughed at or ridiculed. It's actually very, very real. We had another because
it's actually very real. Notice how many times David Wilcock has to tell you this is very real or this is very true. I'm sorry, friends, but if what you're saying is real or true, you don't have to say that. Do you know anybody that's telling you the truth that has to say, by the way, this is real? I don't know anybody that's actually telling me the truth that needs to say this is real or this is true. So we've got more. We're going to rapid fire them this time. Oh, gosh, we got a lot to go through. But at least they're all just short clips. So David is claiming that putting references in his books qualifies him for a PhD, which he never received. He's got a bachelor's degree in psychology that his mommy and daddy bought him. He didn't pay his way through college or work through college. His mommy and daddy paid his bills for 4+ years. At least I was told that by a source. Allegedly, his parents paid his whole 4 years of bills, business expense, car expense, food, lodging, housing, laundry expenses, everything for 4 years, because that's what kind of person David Wilcock is. He doesn't work for anything. He's an entitled, spoiled rich kid, in my opinion.
And I realized that many of the websites that we're talking about, the Cabal, DS, whatever you want to call it, we're quoting from this book really often, most of the time, without any source attribution, which I think is unkind. if you know where the source of the information was from, you should really report on that and not just act like it's your own data. And that's a very important thing in writing technical papers and books. You always want to have references and footnotes. In order to get a PhD, you have to have 120 to 150 references. And my first book, Source Field Investigations, came out in 2010, I believe, or 2011. And we had over 1,000 references in there, which is just astonishing.
And by the way, most of David Wilcock's books are 50 to 60% copy and paste jobs. We've proven that here. In other words, if you take a chapter of David Wilcock's book and you put it into a plagiarism checker, it comes back 50 to 60% plagiarized. So it's great that he's citing sources, but he's making money copy and pasting other people's work. And in a lot of cases, his so-called citations are from pseudoscience garbage websites and things like that that aren't actual real or verifiable or true sources of information. They're garbage. But it is what it is. His books are copy and paste jobs, but he wants a pat on the back after copying and pasting 50 to 60% of his book. He wants a pat on the back because he put them in the citations. And he also thinks he deserves a PhD.
It was a lot of work. So I always back my stuff up. So when people say that I don't have any evidence, that's really not true.
He has bad evidence and he has copy and paste evidence, but it's bad evidence. Remember, how about all those pyramid power people? They're all discredited pseudoscience, and he cites them as evidence, right? And you cite fake whistleblowers as evidence. You cite Pete Peterson, who's a complete and total fraud, and Emery Smith and Corey Good as proof or evidence. That's not good evidence. You could call it evidence, but it's garbage.
One of the books I've written has way more than enough references to be a PhD dissertation.
Oh, so he thinks he deserves a PhD now. He thinks he deserves a PhD. Oh, this is great too. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do this a little different way. Somebody is suggesting on Twitter that David Wilcock bought a lot of his studio equipment with money from the charitable contributions, which would be completely and totally illegal. I'm not alleging that. I'm simply reporting that people on YouTube, or excuse me, people on Twitter are saying, and there's multiple people on Twitter that are saying this, they're saying that he essentially bought those 7 cameras and that equipment with the money from the charitable donations. And now he's using that same equipment to make for-profit streams, which would be completely and totally illegal. User Spudwife2 says his 501c3 charity paid for all that stuff, which he uses to beg for more monetary donations. The only pyramid he's familiar with is the pyramid scheme he has cleverly devised. And again, I'm not making that allegation, but several people on Twitter are saying, and we have asked the question, did he use charitable donations to buy those cameras? And if so, isn't that illegal? In other words, if you collect, let's say, $10,000 worth of charitable donations for your charity, and you also have a for-profit company, you're not allowed to take that $10,000 from the charitable donations, buy $10,000 worth of software and studio equipment, including cameras with it, and then use that same equipment to make for-profit videos. So David Wilcock, you better have receipts. You better have receipts proving where all this stuff came from. At about the 19-minute mark, David Wilcock basically brags about how expensive his camera setup is. And we're going to go to that. Again, we're going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public. 1 second. All right, we're going to share it here. Because here, David Wilcock is bragging about his expensive camera equipment. And we're going to do a little bit of basic math and show you that David Wilcock is essentially claiming that he's using about $100,000 worth of equipment to do his live streams. And coincidentally, I don't think his live streams look any better, much better than ours. And we have a multi-camera setup in my other office. I think we are up to 5 cameras, but really that's ridiculous. And it looked no better or worse than David Wilcock's. But David Wilcock spent like $100,000 to do the same thing I did for like $200. You know, if you know where to shop for decent webcams, you don't need $6,000 cameras. But let's get into this.
And click subscribe if you haven't already done that. It does work sometimes to get you aware of what I'm doing. And anyway, in the dream, he had these 2 gold laser discs that he called DVDs. And he was saying how amazing it was that he could do his own show and record it. And that just reminded me that, yeah, you know what? We are amazed by the technology that's here now. What I'm able to do in my own home, this whole setup that I've got here, probably it's about, I don't know, $80,000 to $100,000 worth of equipment. I've got kind of a...
And where did he get the money to buy that $80,000 or $1,000 worth of equipment? I'm going to put it in the form of a question. David Wilcock, did you spent what, $6,000 on software from charitable contributions, but then you didn't do any actual charity with your charity? So what's the deal here?
The entry-level Hollywood quality stuff. I've got Sigma lenses, Ursa Mini Pro G2 cameras.
Ursa Mini Pro G2 cameras. Okay, we're going to look that up. 1 second. Ursa Mini Pro G2 cameras. I think that's what he said. G2. All right, let's take a look. Oh, wow. Remember, he's got 7 of these. So the cameras are $6,385. Remember, here's a guy who's crying that he doesn't have money for groceries. Not long ago, he was telling people that he didn't have money for groceries, or he was struggling to have money for groceries. And meanwhile, these cameras are $6,385, and he's got 7 of them. So we'll do quick math. That's $44,695 worth of cameras that he's using for his live stream. Now, that doesn't count software, camera routing, or multi-camera switch setup. That's probably 10 grand. Who knows? But my biggest complaint with Wilcock is, if you're sitting there with 7 cameras worth $45,000, don't you think maybe you should like not beg your followers for money to pay your taxes, right? Let's hear what else he has to say about his massive equipment there at his home studio.
Got the Ursa viewfinders. I've got the ATEM Television Studio Pro switcher here. These are all made by
ATEM Studio Pro switcher. Let's look that up. ATEM Studio Pro switcher. ATEM Studio Pro switcher. All right. That's about $1,000. Not a cheap piece of equipment there. $1,000. So what are we up to? About $45,000 in camera. So $46,000. That doesn't include the lenses he mentioned. I didn't look those up. Those are probably very expensive, $500 to $1,000 a piece. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. All right, let's go back to the Wilcock video and see what else he has to say.
a company called BMD, or Black Magic Design. Yeah, it's got Black Magic in the title, but it's the best equipment at the best price with the best set of features. It's unfortunate they chose to use that name, but that's what I use. And I've also got my Sackler stands for each of the cameras. I've got 7 camera angles. So it's amazing that I have the ability to do this setup where it's all wired into the switcher. I can control my color from here. I can do all these really cool things with the equipment. And then I can broadcast it live. We got 2,500 people watching.
He's about to say that'll be up to 5,000. I guarantee it.
And that's all probably
he didn't.
only possible because of things like the Roswell crash and the fact that we actually have this amazing technology that was given to us. And
Yeah, now he's quoting Colonel Corso. Remember Colonel Corso's book, The Day After Roswell? Oh, we got, fiber optics and integrated circuits and all these things from the Roswell crash. That's been completely and totally debunked. So here this idiot is sitting here saying, oh, I've got 7 $6,000 cameras because of Roswell. Come on, you dummy. It's so ridiculous. It's so stupid. Childish nonsense, debunked garbage. That's what you're feeding your followers. Fake information, disinformation, misinformation, hoaxes, completely and totally proven false claims.
I think the real point was to make sure that we got to the internet by the end of the year 2012, where we could do these types of shows. When I was in...
Oh, yeah. Aliens dropped that technology at Roswell so that David Wilcock could have 7 cameras and do his internet show by 2012. God damn, this guy is dumb as dirt. He's just dumb as dirt. I'm sorry. He's dumb as dirt. All right, let's go to back to the clips. Okay, one second here. Now he's going to talk about his trolls. Let's share that one. Again, fair use. And thanks to Macario.
Yeah, well, we're not worried about the trolls. The company...
Last week, he was threatening to sue all his trolls. Now he's not worrying about them. Let's hear that again. If you weren't worried about them, why are you threatening to sue everybody last week, David Wilcock?
Yeah, well, we're not worried about the trolls. The company is having an administrative response to that. There she goes, and we got Amy Sullivan. Thank you very much, Amy. So yeah, it's now in the company's hands. The attorneys have advised me not to comment on this anymore because it is now a matter of litigation.
Last week, he claimed that people were going to prison. Last week, the week before this stream, I should say, it might be 2 weeks ago, he claimed that John Christian Spadavaccia, the investigative journalist and author working on a book, was going to prison for criminal acts. Now he's saying that lawyers from the company are going to handle it. Well, which one is it? Are people going to jail for criminal activity, or are you suing them? And what lawyers? Remember, listen, this is where we get to the minutia that matters. David Wilcock's company, Stavati, is being sued, and they sent a letter to the judge basically saying, we can't afford a lawyer. And then in one case, they hired a fake lawyer who got in trouble for pretending to be a lawyer. What lawyers, David Wilcock? What lawyers are you talking about? Your company is in, what, $5.5 million in debt? You mean to tell me that they can afford lawyers to go after internet trolls for you? This is bullshit.
We are developing it. And, in this case, we have to do that because this person has not stopped. And in fact, the escalation has been quite dramatic.
The escalation that Mr. Wilcock is talking about is that John Christian Spadavaccia, investigative journalist and author, came on our show here last week to tell his version of events that completely contradicts David Wilcock's fake events that never happened. David Wilcock slandered an investigative journalist and said that person threatened people's families and threatened board members. None of that was true, right? Welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real.
He has tried everything possible to try to intimidate me, but I'm still here. We had a drastic escalation. He's probably doubled the amount of criminal charges we now have. And again,
there he goes again, claiming there's criminal charges. Then what do you need lawyers for? Let the police handle it. David Wilcock, you lie every time you open your mouth, dude. You lie every time you open your mouth. How does it feel to live your life where every time you're on the internet and you open your mouth that we can prove you're lying? Criminal activity. Then what do you need lawyers for? You let the police handle it. You don't hire a lawyer if the police are handling it. This is all lawfare theater for his dumb as rocks followers. And I'm sorry, but if you believe this crap from David Wilcock, then you are dumb as rocks.
Again, I don't have to do anything. The company's having an administrative response. I'm not going to comment anymore on it. But, you know, it doesn't really matter. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment any more on it. Hold on. Let me comment some more on it.
I've been attacked ever since I went online in 96. And they do make a lot of really mean statements. They try to hurt your feelings. They want you to feel bad about yourself.
Nobody's trying to hurt your feelings, but some people are fact-checking you. And what you find out if you fact-check David Wilcock, which we showed you at the beginning of this broadcast, is David Wilcock lies constantly. And nothing he says ever happens. His predictions are all false. It's ridiculous.
But at the end of the day, I've been here the whole time, and I've had a very nice career.
He's had a very nice career. What career? Your career is lying to people with fake government insiders and fake secret space clowns that never been to space. That's your career? And pushing false, completely provably false alien, ancient aliens theories on the History Channel. That's your career. Your career is lying to people. That's the reality of what you do, David Wilcock. That's what your career has been, lying to people for money.
Had a very nice life.
He's got a very nice life, but he's always complaining, right? He's always complaining, but his life is so nice. It's so nice. Oh my God, we have so much more to get through. All right, we're going to try to power through some of this stuff. Now I lost my place. That's terrible. Hold on. Okay. Oh, I guess we missed that one. Oh, here he's blessing all the trolls. Last week he was threatening to sue all the trolls. This week he's blessing them on his show.
So, you know, I'm grateful for everybody who's been with me, and even for the trolls. You know, there's something called the law of attraction to a nucleus. The more anger and hate that people create about me online, actually, the more that shows I'm on the right track. So,
yeah, and let me just say that David Wilcock has a perception problem. He takes anybody being critical of his false claims as hate. It's not hate. It's people fact-checking you, Mr. Wilcock.
They're actually damaging their own karma, but they're accelerating my
Oh, that's right. He said we'll go to hell if we criticize him.
Spiritual evolution in the process, and therefore I bless them. And, you know, I'm not really mad at anybody. I mean, I feel sad about being threatened and being harassed and
He's not mad at anybody. He's just threatening to sue everybody.
Being told that
and slandering everybody and making up false claims that people threatened him, threatened the board members, threatened people's families. None of that happened, right? This guy is like, he is a deceiver. I mean, he's right up there with Satan and Lucifer for the amount of lying that he does and deception that he employs.
Abused my wife,
in my opinion,
or whatever else they're going to do. But you know what? It's not that big of a deal when really get right down to it, because I continue going through what I do and nobody's stopped me. So you want to concoct a fake like this that was easily disproven within less than 24 hours.
You know, here he is telling everybody they're going to hell.
The William Cooper post.
This is the
and
previous
ruin your
stream.
ascension.
So what a contrast.
If you don't get to leave the earth now, you're going to get 25,000 more years in third density, and you're probably going to spend time in hell.
Yeah, so listen to the contrast. This week, oh, I bless my trolls. The week prior, you're probably going to hell if you criticize me. He can't even keep his own lies straight. None of this makes any sense. Welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock, right? Welcome to the wacky world. All right, next one. Okay, so before he said Donald Trump was going to win in 2020 in a landslide. Now he's changed his tune.
What nobody could have foreseen. You know, I expected that 45 was going to win in 2020.
Yes, you predicted that he was going to win in a landslide, in fact. Then you lied to all your followers and said that he was still the president in control of the military and he was going to take back the White House. None of that happened. You know why? Because you're wrong about everything, because you're dumb as rocks, just like your followers. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
And go back into office for a second term. I was absolutely horrified when it didn't turn out that way. And now we have the resident, and we've been dealing with 4 years of that. When you look at the posts and you look at what they said, you know, it turns out they allowed that to happen. And it was all part of
They
this big
allowed Trump to
exposure.
lose.
So for the 4 years that we've had since 2020, unfortunately, again, you know, the alliance had to allow COVID to happen. They had to allow the inoculations to happen. This was all part of what they call the Great Awakening.
Oh, it was all part of the Great Awakening to let hundreds of thousands of people die, millions of people die all around the world. Some spiritual guru. David Wilcock, dumb as rocks. Dumb as rocks. I don't know if he actually believes this stuff or if he's just that stupid. And here's just a fun soundbite about people unrelentingly pounding on him.
The media has just been unrelentingly pounding on him.
People have been pounding on him. I think he's talking about Trump, but maybe it could apply to him as well, right? Unrelentingly pounding on him. All right. And here we go. The mass arrests, friends. The mass arrests are coming again. How many times has he predicted the mass arrests? Here we go.
And so in my show on Tuesday, I did an emergency show. We're going to go through why I did that, because it looks like the big one, which is where they're going to do some final moves, including potentially arrests.
Oh, the mass arrests are coming again. How many times has he predicted these mass arrests? Come on, David Wilcock. How many times are you going to pull out the same prediction and then it not happen? We got to collect them up. We got to collect up every time he's predicted mass arrests are imminent and make one big supercut video out of it.
A very high level people could be upon us at any time. Right now,
Oh, and here, let's repeat. Macario did a great job. So here he is predicting the mass arrests this week. And a few years ago, not only did he predict the mass arrests, but he said the mass arrests already happened. Let's take a listen.
And so in my show on Tuesday, I did an emergency show. We're going to go through why I did that, because it looks like the big one, which is where they're going to do some final
the
moves,
mass arrests are coming,
potentially
friends.
arrests of very high level people, could be upon us at any time. Right now, tribunals that are allegedly taking place. We have very good intel on this from multiple insider sources that they have arrested right now key people in the deep state. They already have tribunals going on in several locations in the United States and apparently Guantanamo.
Did anybody remember hearing this on the news, that there's massive prison barges heading to Guantanamo Bay after all those mass arrests that happened in 2019? David Wilcock, you need a goddamn clown suit. I'm sending David Wilcock a whole clown suit. I'm going to get him a nice wig, a big red nose, clown shoes. This is clown shoes time, David Wilcock. You're sitting there on a live stream saying this big event's going to happen any day now. This big event's going to happen and the mass arrests are going to come. But back in 2019, you predicted the mass arrests and then said it was already happening. Let's take a listen.
Tribunals that are taking place.
No.
We have very good intel on this from multiple insider sources that they have arrested right now key people in the deep state.
Whoa, they already did. Well, then why is he predicting mass arrests and the big event is going to happen when he already not only predicted it in 2019, but said the mass arrests already took place and there's prison barges headed to Guantanamo Bay? This is so stupid, David Wilcock. Why don't you explain yourself on this? Why don't you explain how any of this makes sense, David Wilcock? You dumbass.
Already have tribunals going on in several locations in the United States and apparently Guantanamo. There are prison barges taking people to Guantanamo, and what they've done is they have started with the mid-level people who were directly involved in child trafficking.
Again, with the pizza crap.
These sealed indictments that we've been hearing so much.
Oh, yeah. Here, I put this in the beginning of my presentation. He said the sealed indictments that everybody heard about are going to be unsealed. This was in 2019. Anybody remember all those sealed indictments being unsealed? Because I sure don't.
About are being unsealed. People are being put on trial in
Nobody got put on trial.
secret tribunals. These are military trials.
Great job, Macario. What a contrast. So this clown is telling everybody the mass arrests are coming. And then the mass arrests didn't. Oh, they already happened. But now he's saying they're going to happen again. Like, this is a pathological liar. Okay, 1 second here. I'm losing my place. There's so many clips here. 1 second. Okay, got my place back. All right, we're back on track here. And here he is again saying that he was able to pay his mortgage, but we showed you that he doesn't own the home. It's a shell corporation that owns the home. So who is he paying a mortgage to? And here he is pitching 7 books for $70 full of angel nonsense.
Telling you about the history of the assassins, go to thedisclosure.com. You can get each book for $10. You have to buy it as a bundle using this discount code Revelation. So that is something that you can do to help me.
There's nothing better than discount bullshit, right?
I've made it very inexpensive.
$70 for books full of nonsense from a guy who has a proven track record of lying to his audience for decades. That's a big deal, according to David. Hey, look, it's not just bullshit, it's discount bullshit.
Your orders of that book have really been, these books, they're digital, have been helping me drastically. I was able to pay my rent, just barely, mortgage.
My rent. I mean my mortgage. Which one is it? You don't own the home. He doesn't own the home anymore.
And so, it's been very intense. There's been an intense struggle, but we are closing on our loan. We're expecting to have it come in very soon.
Any day now. Any day now, he's getting the money.
We signed off, again, these affidavits saying we're going to pay our debts. No problem. That's what we want to do. We don't want to be in debt. We have several different bills we need to pay right away. We're going to do that.
All right, I wonder if they're going to pay back the $1 million to the investor that they promised $5 million. Are they going to pay the $1 million at least? Or are they going to pay the $5 million they actually owe the man that they promised them?
But still, right for now, I'm offering this discount, and
discount
you can
bullshit.
read all this stuff, all this very intense research I've done on everything I've been telling you about the plan.
Yeah, we've seen his level of research and what it's worth. I wouldn't use his books to wipe my ass at this point. That's about their only value. Maybe if there's another pandemic and a toilet paper shortage, you can use his books to wipe your ass. But then again, you can't, because they're not even real physical books and he has no publisher. They're self-published PDFs, digital ebooks, right? That's the level of garbage that he's dropped to. He used to have a publisher. I guess he lost that.
About the 17 posts, which again didn't begin until 2017.
All right. So here he is again claiming that he's paying his mortgage with money from his angel books. And, what a hellish existence it must be that you have to lie to people to pay your bills. And here's some more ridiculous statements. Again, fair use. Just gets more and more ridiculous as the clips go on, friends.
The small country, starting with they've been very restless. And again, it appears that they were at the core of the Rockefeller faction, which was in strident opposition to the European faction, the Roth faction. But it doesn't change the fact that at the highest levels, there's some wrongdoing going on both sides. Now,
that's what the mass arrests are about. They're going to arrest all those evildoers, but then they never do. But then when they never do, and his followers get tired of hearing about the mass arrests, then he suddenly says the mass arrests already happened. There's prison barges heading to Guantanamo. This is a world of fiction.
I support Israel wholeheartedly. I'm not interested in trying to demonize them at all. My best friend from high school is Jewish. My best friend from college is Jewish. I had a Jewish girlfriend. I grew up around probably 30-40% of everybody that I knew was Jewish in my hometown, because I'm in upstate New York. And again, almost all of the people in Israel want their country to not be warlike, and they want this all to stop. So that's where I have a sharp
David likes those people. He grew up around those people. He likes them all.
differentiation from other people talking about this, in that it's only a few bad apples, and they're already being dealt with internally within that country. They're already doing investigations. What really happened on October 7th? Did they know anything?
Oh, I guess there's going to be mass arrests there too.
And I think it's going to be fine. But it's very
It's going
scary.
to be fine.
There's all this
Tens of thousands of people
war
being
right now.
killed
As I said before, I chilled with black guys from Harlem. I smoked cannabis with them, 420,
Oh,
blunts,
here we go.
White Owl, Philly blunt.
He loves the Jews and the black people.
I learned raps, okay? I learned KRS-One, Guru.
Yeah, I can't play that because it's copyrighted music. But here's David Wilcock assuring everybody that he is not a racist. And he does that a lot. I don't know anybody that's not a racist that has to constantly say, I'm not a racist. I like Jewish people. I like black people. I smoke blunts with black people. Because that's not racist to say at all, as if to imply that all black people smoke blunts. Come on, dude. This is your spiritual guru. This is your false prophet, right? If you ask me. The false prophet. Okay, 1 second. And we'll get back. Next one. All right, we're going to get into the Ezra stuff because this is funny. This is really funny. Now, remember, he constantly says that Shadows of Ezra is mirroring his work or, posting because of his work or monitoring his broadcast. Shadows of Ezra, number one, doesn't know who he is. Number two, said he sounds insane. And number three, Wilcock has said multiple times that Shadows of Ezra is Ezra Cohen. And first of all, Ezra Cohen has denounced the Q-tard nonsense, and Shadows of Ezra is not Ezra Cohen.
It really triggers me if anybody says that it's all heading up to the November election. I don't even think it's going to go that way because we don't have enough time. And there's this weird
We don't have enough time. And he's previously said we're never going to get to the November elections.
source on Telegram called Storm Rider. And they've borrowed a lot of stuff from Michael prophecies. And I've
Here's more people borrowing from his prophecies.
it's like low-hanging fruit that I really could have talked about if I'd wanted to promote myself more. They've done many, many things that actually promote Michael prophecies incredibly well. But I don't know if it's a real source or if it's somebody who just makes really good educated guesses by compiling information online. So I don't necessarily
He's talking about himself there, compiling information online.
believe it, but I would call this an educated guess. It's strange intel. I'm not really sure if it's true.
I'm not sure if it's true, but I'm going to share it anyway because I'm stupid. Because I'm David Wilcock. Yes, and here he's making claims that he predicted the Biden's terrible debate performance. No, he didn't. We covered his posts. He didn't predict that.
No, is this stunning collapse in the debates that we saw leading to this red X. So you got surrendered under the guise. That's June 27th. And then the same day, the debate, boom, he's no longer going to be able to run. So this 48-hour prophecy.
And by the way, all indications is that he's continuing to run.
Window really
despite calls for him to step aside.
Delivered. And again, I want to thank the Alliance for how accurately.
He's thanking a fictional organization that his con artist source, Pete Peterson, told him about. He's thanking a fictional organization that does not exist, that he heard about from a proven con artist, Pete Peterson, with a completely and totally fake education, fake background, fake work history. Yeah.
For how accurately they structure all this stuff. And I feel very honored and privileged to be able to put this together for you, tie all these pieces of data together, bring this information out to you fearlessly.
Oh, he's fearless in bringing us the bullshit. He's a fearless bullshit huckster, which is so much better than a fearful bullshit huckster, right? So stupid. This is so stupid. It's just so stupid and so childish. I can't believe it. All right. Now we have the next one. And by the way, this one's personal to me because I kind of knew John McAfee a little bit, or I got to know him a little bit before his death. And Anytime any idiot is pushing false conspiracies about a dead person, it's deplorable. But here, this is a spiritual guru, and he's parroting fake posts from a Q-tard Telegram poster.
His suicide may have been staged and it might not be real. John McAfee was about to expose some of the world's largest criminals before he allegedly, quote unquote, committed suicide in the Spanish prison. And clearly they're putting it in quotes because he's still alive and they staged the whole thing. He's been hiding out, waiting to speak, and helping the alliance behind the scenes. That's what
No, he's not alive. He is dead. It's 100% fact that he died.
I think is going on. He was in the Spanish prison held on fabricated tax charges. He provided government secretaries with laptops that contained viral spyware, and he was able to control the entire government computer system. Whoa.
This is all just works of fiction. All just works of fiction. Total works of fiction. Total works of fiction, friends. And once again, he's claiming that he has influenced Ezra. Remember, we have the screenshots. Ezra doesn't know who he is, and after finding out what Wilcock is doing, said that Wilcock sounds insane.
So then next on our list was that they were doing a poll similar to the one that I'd called for the night before for my emergency show, and they actually stopped the votes at 88.8%. There's the triple-digit synchronicity. Should I make a post about strange connections between the Roths and this particular individual, J.A., or is everyone going to get offended? 88.8% yes. Well, I had already, by the time they stopped the voting, I'd already done my last show where I had gotten a synchronicity because I had called out for a poll and said, do you want me to do an emergency show? Everybody said yes, yes, yes. And it was really
what a big emergency. What happened? Nothing. Nothing happened.
So then the next day,
but he had to have an
I went out
emergency
there
show.
and looked at their site, and they had done their own poll. And at the exact time that I checked it, they had 888 votes. So there's the 888. And I said, isn't this interesting? Because once again, they're signaling to me because I had just done a poll.
They're not signaling to David Wilcock. They don't even know who he is, and they think he sounds insane after being informed of what he's doing.
And then they did a poll the very next morning. And then Archangel Michael, the telepathic influence I have, ended up getting me.
Now it's a telepathic influence.
To look at it exactly at the moment there was 888 votes with my vote, because I voted yes.
What
that
is
was the
synchronicity,
888th
David
vote.
Wilcock?
So it's as if they had my back because they stopped the polling at 7,613 votes when it was at 88.8%. So thank you again to the Alliance. This is another ongoing example of how.
Oh, thank you to the fictional organization my con artist friend told me about that doesn't exist. And my only proof it exists is a Telegram Q-tard poster that I said was the communications director for the Alliance. And he doesn't even know who David Wilcock is. Awesome.
If they put my name out there, I'd have 500 people coming after me like the guy I talked about in the weeks before. And one is enough. This one guy is very dedicated.
And by the way, it's not one critic. He conflated multiple people into one person for the benefit of his stupid followers.
It's not that big of a deal if it's just one guy, but if it's 500 people like that, yeah, life would be pretty upsetting. So I think that's why they don't telegraph to these millions of people who I am. So if you're here.
No, they don't telegraph who you are because they don't know who you are, Wilcock. And when they were informed of what you're doing with his posts, they said, you sound insane.
And you're getting to see these shows, it's a blessing because you're learning all the distilled core of information.
He's distilling bullshit into a more powerful, pungent bullshit, right?
Try not to have any fat.
Stupid.
It's just all fact. We're just going to.
What facts? Fake facts.
Pick down the list. So thank.
Fake facts, friends. He's sharing fake facts. Thank you to the Alliance, the fictional organization that my con artist friend told me all about. Oh, now here he's saying that Stavati is working with people from Area 51. Another provably false claim. Here we go.
Hey, David, I joined in late. I hope to hear your Australian accent, mate. Can you tell us if Stavati is going to be publicly traded? No, actually, there's some reasons why, because we're going to be doing stuff with the Area 51 folks, classified technology.
Oh, he's going to be working on classified technology. Remember, Stavati Aerospace lied and said that they had wind tunnel contracts. They didn't have those. They lied and said that they were developing laser weapons for the United States military. They weren't. They had to take that off their website. The United States military called them on their bullshit when somebody informed the military that they were claiming to develop laser weapons. The military set them straight. No, they have no contracts. No, they have no wind tunnel contracts. But now Wilcock is lying and saying that they're going to be working on classified technology at Area 51.
Reasons why, because we're going to be doing stuff with the Area 51 folks, classified technology.
Oh,
We don't want to be publicly traded right away because then we have to disclose everything. I do want it all to come out in time. But if we were traded publicly at the beginning, we'd never be able to work in that capacity. So I hope you can understand that.
Yeah, and good luck getting your company to be publicly traded when you're being sued for over $1 million and one of your investors calls you a Ponzi scheme and an investment scam. That's why they'll never be publicly traded, because they're already being accused of being a Ponzi scheme and investment scam. The SEC would not look kindly on those allegations when making a decision about whether or not they will allow Mr. Wilcock's shady company to be. Well, we're going to skip the Candace Owens connection. It's kind of dumb. Now he's just lying about Julian Assange. It just goes on and on with false claims here over and over. By the way, I saw some super chats. I will be reading them shortly. I appreciate every single one of you. Remember, we're a viewer-supported show, and unlike Wilcock, I can't just lie for 3 hours straight. We have to give you facts and evidence and critical thinking and good analysis. So we appreciate everybody throwing a super chat. For those unaware, I read every single one. Sometimes we wait till the end of the broadcast to do so. I will read every single super chat and thank every single contributor. Thank you.
So here's the full slide from the X post. As part of his plea agreement, he has been ordered to have his website destroy all the remaining documents and information that was on it. After destroying all these documents, he now has to provide a signed affidavit, similar to the one we just had to do, where we've got a promise that we're going to pay our debts, which we're happy to do.
He's connecting himself to Julian Assange. Come on. Come on, David. Are you this desperate? You are no Julian Assange. I'll tell you that much, right? So now he's saying the big things are coming next month. Talk about kick the can. Big things. They're coming out next month.
And again, they said we have it all. And we remember what they said about June ETA and that it's on a server. They've got that all that information. And then they said, July. So we're in that month. It looks like it's all going to be coming out very, very soon. I am so excited, folks. You have no idea. To me, this whole discussion is thrilling. So let's keep going.
It's all coming out next month. And if it doesn't come out next month, I'll change my mind and say it's coming out the month after next month. And if that doesn't work, the month after next month. Yeah, and here he is basically proving that he abuses his pets. This is a great one. Mr. Spiritual Guru. The dog has to go out. She's in pain, and he laughs about it.
Jacob Cook donated and said, David is the Galactic Federation protecting us. Yeah. Everything the Alliance is doing is actually in collusion with benevolent extraterrestrials. There goes Girly. She's starting to get tired of me being on the air. She knows it's been 3 hours because she knows she's very good with time. Jacob.
He's laughing that the dog has to go out, and instead he's doing the super chat shuffle, begging for money from his stupid followers. Incredible. And here we go. Here he is pushing Ezra Cohen conspiracies. And Ezra Cohen, I could show you a screenshot, has basically denounced all the Q-Tard stuff.
I'm not sure how you'd exactly pronounce Fasting, but anyway, this is Ezra. He's the guy that's doing all these Alliance posts now.
There he is. He's saying that Ezra Cohen is Shadows of Ezra. No, he's not. No, he's not, David Wilcock. You just made that up. Fake facts.
He's an American
Welcome
intelligence
to David
official
Wilcock.
who served as the acting Secretary of Defense for Intelligence during the administration, previously served as acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations, Low-Intensity Conflict, National Security Advisor to the U.S. Attorney General, and is a former Senior Director for Intelligence Programs for U.S. National Security Council. So he is very, very read in, very highly involved.
And he's not
And this is again
posting
Shadow of Ezra
Lions
is
posts.
his handle online, but he also posts under Ezra.
No, he's not. No, he's not. There's no evidence and no proof. And in fact, I can show you a post here. Ezra Cohen has basically said that the Q-Tard stuff is all nonsense. And I have a screenshot here that I can share about that. 1 second. Here we go. And this is from the Hidden in Plain Sight podcast. Shout out to them. They grabbed this. So David Wilcock is saying that Ezra Cohen is Shadows of Ezra posting all this Q-Tard nonsense. Hidden in Plain Sight says, I know David Wilcock isn't one for research, but Ezra Cohen has pretty thoroughly denounced the Q movement. He is not Shadows of Ezra. Here's a quote from Ezra Cohen. It's clear that the QAnon conspiracy was a core of what was going on at the Capitol, and I want to do everything I can to delegitimize this conspiracy. Cohen, 34, told Politico in an interview, the country deserved better on January 6th. What transpired was appalling and completely at odds with their democratic principles. Ezra Cohen is denouncing the Q movement, and idiot Wilcock is saying that Ezra Cohen is the person making these Q-Tard posts. Does that make any sense? No, David Wilcock, you are dumb as rocks, dude. You are dumb as rocks for saying that. You're telling your stupid followers that Ezra Cohen is making Q-Tard Telegram posts. He's denounced Q. He's not Q, and he's not Shadows of Ezra. You just lied through your teeth to your audience. Again. You know how easy it is to catch? It's so easy to catch David Wilcock lying. It really is. It's like fish in a barrel. It's like fish in a barrel, friends. Fish in a barrel. Wilcock has said both names together, but never took the time to say Shadow is Ezra Cohen. Now he is saying that Shadow is Ezra Cohen. Great. Great. All right. Now we have more. I'm not a racist. You gotta love it. Only a racist needs to constantly tell people how much he loves other races.
Joseph P17's donate $27. Says, David, I love you as my hermano, and thank you for your many enlightening, informative presentations. Let's go with the hover cars and 0-point energy generators. Yes,
Almost
I found out
true.
in LA that if you give away free cannabis, you get amigos, and that was a lot of fun for me. So I've actually probably, when I was active, I probably had more fun with Latinos than just about anybody else because I would give away free samples of eighths. Yeah, and then I realized it wasn't a good idea after a while. I got some things happening. Well, I'm not going to do that.
Back then it was illegal. So is he admitting to distributing drugs, illegal drugs to Latino people here?
Just about anybody else because I would give away
I don't
free
understand.
samples of eighths. Yeah, and then I realized it wasn't a good idea after a while. I got some things happening. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. But now I'm completely clean. Haven't had anything since Memorial Day. But thank you.
Oh,
Yes, you
wow.
are my hermano.
He hasn't had any cannabis for 2 whole months. 2 whole months he hasn't had any cannabis. Good for you, Mr. Wilcock. So we've got just a few more to get through here. All right, we're going to skip that one. We'll go to this one next. All right, 1 second here. We'll share this one. Again, all of these clips are being shared under fair use. We're educating the public and critiquing the video we're sharing. Macario says, okay, is Wilcock saying that the small country is controlling everything, including the military? Is he saying that Adolf was fighting with them because they were controlling him? He was working for them and they were doing the same now. The little country made Germany lose because he wanted too much power, so they went with the U.S. for a win. More nonsense.
This is the full interview of Congressman Traficant who believed his life was in danger for speaking out. He tells how he was thrown in jail for several years after taking on this lobby. This interview was from April 2014. He would die 5 months later in September 2014. Interview conducted by Luke We Are Change. It's 13 minutes long. Definitely worth a listen. 37,000 views. Again, I just grabbed it last night. It had only just come out. So it's going to go a lot higher. Then the last one
Again with the
last night was the
Rothschilds.
Rothschild
Come on.
Surrealist Ball from 1972. Extremely, extremely disturbing
My
stuff.
God.
two different mannequins here.
David Wilcock
Smash
never met a
Baby
lie
head.
he didn't want to repeat.
Really, really
right?
weird, and they're wearing these very disturbing.
And look, he's
masks.
just repeating
That had
Q-tard
just come out.
posts.
I just took a picture of it.
That's
right as
his
they posted
content
it. Only
now.
had 3,000
Repeating Q-tard posts.
It's going to go a lot higher. Then this morning, I decided, I need to get back in there. I need to look around, see what's what. Have they posted anything else before we end the show? Which we got perfect timing. This is really good. It's going to be 3.5 hours. So this is the one that they came out with. Imposition from a subversive press. Even Hitler, he's talking and he says, he didn't like the fact that his ability to be a dictator was being controlled and determined by the press. The press has incredible power. That's the
Now he's an expert on World War II history as well.
lesson here. It's not at all that the alliance is supporting him. But on the last day of Pride Month, here's a reminder of what he had to say about degenerate art that was emerging from Germany. I don't know if it's degenerate. I mean, that's a little bit unfair, but people are very upset right now. I get that.
Oh God, I gotta bow out of this one. This one's just too stupid. But I do have something very interesting to share with you that's also been shared with me by Macario. And that is, remember, David Wilcock just said that the Shadows of Ezra account is Ezra Cohen. He just said that to his followers. We just showed you him saying that. And here is Ezra Cohen officially saying this account, which is spewing vile disinformation, has been reported many times as an impersonator account. Unfortunately, @X has not taken action. So there you go, David Wilcock. How are you going to explain that one, you dummy? You're telling your followers that Shadows of Ezra is Ezra Cohen. And here Ezra Cohen is saying that's a disinformation account. And he's reported it many times as an impersonator account. You're still going to double down and say that Shadows of Ezra is Ezra Cohen and he's the alliance communicator? Come on, David Wilcock, you dumb son of a bitch. How many times are you going to get, how many times in one stream am I going to catch you lying to your audience? Right? David Wilcock told his audience that Shadows of Ezra is Ezra Cohen. And here, clearly, we have Ezra Cohen saying, this account, which is spewing vile disinformation, has been reported many times as an impersonator account. Unfortunately, X has not taken action. You got to love it. You got to love it, friends. It's just a never-ending cavalcade of bullshit. That's what David Wilcock streams are. A never-ending cavalcade of nonsense. Yeah, and here David Wilcock is once again telling everybody, make sure you have water and rice and beans because big events are going to happen. And as if, I love the fact that David Wilcock is living in a multi-million-dollar mansion and he's going to give out prepper advice to people. As if that's not ridiculous, right? A millionaire living a millionaire's lifestyle in a multi-million-dollar log cabin mansion that he claims, and meanwhile, he's telling his followers that he's trying to survive the winter in an uninsulated cabin. He forgot to tell you it's a multi-million-dollar cabin-themed mansion.
We need to expect the unexpected. So this is where we are now. And anything could happen. We're in a very tense situation. So make sure you've got your stored cash in case the financial system gets glitchy. Make sure you've got your stored food and water. Again, all you need is rice and beans.
All you need is rice and beans.
Have a good source of drinking water. I recommend.
All you need is rice and beans from a guy who said that he has 2 months worth of grass-fed ribeye bison steak. God damn, I forgot the steak again. Next week. He's telling you you only need rice and beans.
Keeping 5-gallon jugs of it on hand.
And you need water. You gotta have plenty of water, friends. All right, we've got just 3 more clips left. I think we can make it through. A lot easier to make it through with the clips. So I'm thankful for having the clips available. Yeah, let's see this. More Q-tard nonsense.
Dragging
That's
down
his content
into anger,
now.
into frustration. Janet Levitt just donated and said, thank you for all you do, David. Hoping that after all this is over, that you and Elizabeth end up together again. God bless.
His followers hope he gets back with his ex-wife. That's never going to happen, friends. And I have that on very good authority.
I don't actually think that's going to happen, but
even David doesn't think that's going to happen.
So, Beth and I are getting along fine. I don't want to say anything like that, but I just, I think that both of us have moved on, and our relationship was very
moved
valuable
on.
for its time. We did a lot of wonderful things together. We accomplished a lot together.
Yeah, they defrauded the public out of hundreds of thousands of dollars in charitable contributions that they allegedly, I should say, defrauded the public out of hundreds of thousands of dollars for their charity, which they allegedly spent on themselves and lots of expensive equipment and lots of expensive software, and nobody knows what happened to all that software. But Wilcock just happens to be using similar software and equipment to do his for-profit live streams.
But I just take enormous risks, and there's fundamental ways in which I want to live my life that.
What is he risking? Who cares if he goes on the internet and lies to people? Apparently nobody, because he's been doing it for decades with no consequences, legally or otherwise.
I don't really know if I can be with anybody, and I'm not in any hurry. It's probably going to be a long time before I'll be in any relationship again.
Oh, poor David. It's going to be a long time before he's in a relationship again, right? All right, just a few more clips, friends. Now he's saying that he might have an alien for his next wife or girlfriend. You can't make this shit up. You just can't make it up.
Again, I take reckless. I'm reckless about my own safety and health because I have this faith. I'm a hard worker. I really don't even have time.
He's a hard worker. He does one stream a week. Last week he did 2. He must have been exhausted. I know I was exhausted from listening to the bullshit for 2 streams, but he's a hard worker.
To be in a relationship, I just need to focus on what I'm doing, focus on this battle, making sure we get this done, making sure we get to ascension. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? I might even end up with some type of human ET as my next partner. Who knows? I mean, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. David Wilcock is here to tell you he might be banging an alien next. The next bitch I bang gonna be an alien. I'm gonna be knocking boots and bumping uglies with an alien bitch. That's my plan. It could happen. Anything's possible. I could bang an alien, right? I could be banging an alien for my next. Oh my God, it's so stupid. It's just so stupid. All right, we're down to the last one. And some thoughts from Macario that I want to include here because I think they're important. Ezra Cohen, he added him. I'm positive you will never see this, but I thought I'd take a chance. There is a man named David Wilcock. For the past 6 to 7 months, he has been using your name. He has been linking it to another X account that is not yours, just someone that has Ezra in the username. He is saying that you are the top man in the Alliance, a fictional group that was created some years ago. The only reason I wanted to let you know is because he uses it to get donations from his followers. He tells them that he is using the money to make free energy devices and hover cars. I believe he is a grifter that targets lonely older people. Some of his followers are a bit off, and I thought you should be informed. So here we go again.
I'm not sure how you'd exactly pronounce fast.
I think we shared this one before.
This is Ezra. He's the guy that's doing all these Alliance posts now.
This is Ezra. This is the guy who's doing the Alliance posts.
He's Alliance posts now. He's an American intelligence official who served as the acting Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence during the administration, previously served as acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations, Low-Intensity Conflict.
You know what he didn't serve as? The Alliance Communication Director. But David Wilcock is telling everybody he is. You know what he also didn't do? Any of those Shadows of Ezra posts.
National Security Advisor to the U.S. Attorney General and is a former Senior Director for Intelligence Programs for U.S. National Security Council. So he is very, very read in, very highly involved.
That's true. But he has also denounced QTARD nonsense, and he is not the Shadows of Ezra account.
And this is, again, Shadow of Ezra is his handle online. But
Shadows of Ezra is not his handle online. And here we go again. This is directly from Ezra Cohen. This account, which is spewing vile disinformation, has been reported many times as an impersonator account. Unfortunately, X has not taken action. And it gets better. Because not only is he saying he's not Shadows of Ezra and Shadows of Ezra is an impersonator account, he's also clearly denounced the QTARD nonsense as being problematic and disinformation. but don't let things like facts and evidence get in the way of anything. We showed you that. We showed you both screenshots. And now I just want to share with you that Shadows of Ezra is laughing at David Wilcock in private communications. And here we go. Sorry. Wilcock has never said it so clear before. Why is he so obsessed with you? I wanted to let you know in case people cause a problem for you. He thinks that you are Ezra A. Cohen, Under Secretary of Defense for Intelligence under Trump. I didn't think he could get any more insane. And Ezra Cohen just sent back a laugh emoji. So, or I'm sorry, Shadows of Ezra. This message is the Shadows of Ezra. Somebody's letting Shadows of Ezra know David Wilcock is saying that you're Ezra Cohen. Shadows of Ezra is laughing at David Wilcock. And Ezra Cohen is clearly saying he's not Shadows of Ezra. So David Wilcock, how wrong could you be? Why are you continuing to share fake, false disinformation and misinformation with your stupid followers? Don't you have a responsibility to be accurate? Of course not, because what you do is sell lies. That's what David Wilcock does. He sells lies to stupid people. Lies and more lies to stupid people. Now we're going to take a moment to thank some kind and generous benefactors. We've got Legal Eagle with a kind and generous $10 super chat, and he's a member. Says, how long till David Wilcock's live stream will feature David tap dancing at the end of a rope? Good question, Legal Eagle. But we do thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and support. Thanks for being a member as well. Very generous, longtime show supporter, Legal Eagle. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for your $10 super chat. We appreciate you. Thanks for appreciating us and helping us too.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
Right, and we've got a few. We've got just a few more. Another one from Legal Eagle. Another 10 spot says, how can David Wilcock get constant super chats for his BS? And Stephen is hardly getting any for all of his honest hard work. I can't agree more. Come on, people. Praise the cash. Yeah, get those super chats in. We're going to be ending the broadcast with a grand total of $45. And, you know, I'll take what I can get. I'm thankful for the support that we do have. But I think Legal Eagle is correct in his analysis here. David Wilcock is getting thousands of dollars to lie to you. And tonight we took in $45 in monetary help. But I just want to be clear, too. Unlike David Wilcock, I have to pay my taxes. And so people are aware, out of that $45, we have to take 30% of that $45 off. So that's $13. So we take the $45 and we take the $13 off. That leaves $32. Then we have to take 20% off of that for taxes. And that's a conservative estimate. That's $6. So what do we have? 14 minus 13 minus 6. Our total tonight after the YouTube Vic, which is 30%, and the 20% going to Uncle Sam, grand total of $26. But I'm thankful for the $26, and we thank all of you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Mr. Bison Steak is here with a kind and generous $1.99. I'm getting lonely in your freezer, Stephen. People are busting my balls. It's an inside joke. For people unaware, David Wilcock was bragging that he had 2 months worth of bison ribeye steak, so I went and got one. And it's been sitting in my freezer, and every time I do this, I forget to cook that steak and eat it here, and I really will do that. I'm going to put it on my calendar for next Monday. Cook the steak at 6 p.m. This way, I can just throw it in the microwave around showtime, and we'll be good to go. Thank you, Bison Steak, for keeping me on.
Raise the cash, raise the cash.
All right, and we've got one more person with a kind and generous another kind and generous benefactor, High Speed Chase, gifted 5 Truth Seekers memberships. That's $25, $5 in membership. So thank you. And listen, if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you smash that subscribe button, because When people like kind and generous people like High Speed Chase and Mike Larry and others gift these memberships, they get randomly distributed to people who are subscribers but are not yet YouTube channel members. By the way, I just did a members only and Patreon video, and I'm going to post it as soon as we're done with tonight's broadcast. And that is because I forgot to do it by the end of the month yesterday. Very busy weekend at the cabin, but we appreciate you, High Speed Chase. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate all of you, and we want to also take a moment to thank you, Patreon supporters. Did you know that you can help me create good content for as little as $1 a month? Or hey, if you're feeling even more generous, become a YouTube channel member for $5. You get the same benefits, but you get, for the extra couple of bucks, you get a YouTube channel member badge so people in the live chat know you're a big show supporter. We appreciate all of you. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You can get a free membership. High Speed Chase just gifted 5 of them. We want to take a moment to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors, you super chatters. Make sure you understand that super thanks. You can throw a couple bucks in our hat even if you're watching a replay. Just hit that thanks button. And also, we want to take a moment to thank you kind and generous PayPal pledgers. Did you know that? If you want to help us get around the VIC here, which is 30%, I especially encourage people, if you're sending a large amount, send it through PayPal to truthseekershow@gmail.com. We want to thank initials TS, who says, thank you for the good and very hard work you do in researching and exposing all the fakes, nut jobs, grifters, manipulators, narcissists, and other assorted despicable individuals and groups associated with ufology and paranormal topics. Keep speaking the truth, Steve, because the world needs voices like yours. I wish you and your family well, and I will donate when I can. Respectfully, Tim, initials TS. So thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. You PayPal pledgers, especially you people gifting all these memberships. Everywhere I look in the live chat, everybody's a member because people have gifted hundreds of free memberships. We have like, I don't know, 500 or 600 members now. And by the way, in my new Patreon and members video, I explain what I'm going to be doing since we have so many members now, once a week now, and it's on my calendar. My work week here is not done unless I do that extra video every week. I've been failing to do that, very busy at the cabin, but things are leveling off here. So I want to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors, you PayPal pledgers, super chatters, super thanks, super sticker, you Twitch subscribers, Patreon supporters, YouTube channel members. Thanks to all of you for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Oh, we have a late arrival, but better late than never. Thank you, Thomas Robinson, who's also a member and a longtime show supporter. Thomas Robinson, thank you for being a member, and a £3 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Super sticker, I should say. We appreciate you, Thomas Robinson. Thanks so much for appreciating us.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we're going to wrap things up here. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But before I wrap things up, let's take a moment to recognize and welcome the live chat. I'm sorry if I forgot to do that earlier. We've had really great attendance this evening, and I'm so thankful for that. And also, we'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. So any questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters. That lets me know that you want me to share on screen. Truth Seekers, if you want to use that last clip again, don't worry. I cut the music out for you. Never any lyrics. I figured YouTube would not like that. Thank you, A Ghost. And we have shared that clip before. And I have it somewhere with the music removed. But I thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Flubber Lane is laughing at the alliance. You got to love it. Arlene Atkins is here. Longtime show supporter says, I couldn't get to my keyboard for a little while. So this question was from earlier. Wouldn't mortgage, rent, and debt info be available online? Not publicly. No, a mortgage is a private contract. Yeah. Sornable says it's the wacky world of Wilcock. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, Hank McGurk is here saying raising that fare, raising that price up, hop if the cops ain't there. Don't know what you're saying, but I never really know what Hank McGurk is saying. Threadable, okay, everyone. It's the wacky world of Will Cox. Yes, Arlene Atkins, he lies about everything else. Richard Warner is here, longtime show supporter, says, sometimes I think I'm Elon Musk, but then I go, oh, no, I'm not. Darn. Yeah, it would be nice to have. I wouldn't want his workload, but I would certainly love to have his wallet. Yeah. Okay. Stiff Richard is here and says, felching session gone wrong. David Wilcock. Oh, geez. Questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters. And we appreciate all of you for being here. Oh, look, somebody's in the live chat in Twitch. Al Garay, always holding it down over there. Says, thank you, Stephen, for another great episode. Thank you for being virtually the only person in the Twitch live chat. But I'm glad you're here. DJ D says, pro tip, if someone calls you a hater, say, I'm not a hater, I'm a doubter. I doubt that what you are saying is accurate. That seems fair to me. AZ says, praise the head. I don't think he means oral. I think he means a certain grifter's head. Admiral Rascals, just what is Wilcock going to scam on next? Well, you know, one of the things that I thought about, and we included it in tonight's presentation, is really that, you know, what is he going to do when none of the stuff that he predicted happens? Like, what is he going to do when we get to, you know, the middle of 2025, and all of the stuff that he said was going to happen clearly is not going to happen, right? I'm trying to find, no, I can't find it. I can't find the stupid doc that I shared earlier. That makes sense. Let me see if I can find it in my history. Because we probably should go over that again, just so everybody is aware. 1 second. Damn it. Well, I can do it from memory. David Wilcock has predicted that there will be a mass disclosure and alien visitation event by the middle of 2025. He's also claimed that there will be a mass ascension event by the middle of 2025. He's once again predicting the mass arrests. What's he going to do when none of this shit happens? Are his followers that dumb that he's just going to move on to another grift? I mean, who's he going to channel next? He's channeling the Archangel Michael now. Is he channeling Jesus next, or, you know, Moses? I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Chuck Bam says he predicted 2023, the end of the world for a year. Yeah. He predicted 2012, the end of the world for a year. Yeah, absolutely. Well, friends, we have done our due diligence. I'm going to bounce on out of here. Haven't even eaten dinner yet today. Very busy day today. My son is doing a summer program, so I'm down to just one kid, which is the Cash Clown. He's a little easier. I took him to 7-Eleven today for a Slurpee. That was the highlight of his day. Yeah. So things should be quieting down for me. I've gotten the cabin together to the point where, oh man, I gotta remember to do something. Oh, no, I did it already. Okay. Credits. We have to put the credits in the description or we get copyright claims. Yeah. So I'm down to one kid. Things are quieting down. For those unaware, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I run my business, the rest of it, and this from home all day and night while taking care of the children. But my nonverbal autistic son, who's very challenging to take care of, you know, He's going to a summer program, so I'm very thankful for that because from like 8 o'clock in the morning till 3:30, I have some time to get some things done, and I can take my other son on errands, and it's very quick and easy to do that. Today, I took him on an errand to 7-Eleven to get Slurpees. That was the highlight of today. Very exciting, but things are settling down. So, because of my autistic son being elsewhere. And by the way, they're doing a great job with him. He's got occupational therapy and physical therapy and speech therapy and all these things. It's really good program for him. I'm so thankful that he's doing that every day. He just does better when he has a lot of structure and activities, But because he's going to be away during the day, I'm going to have a lot more time. So we're considering doing a True Seekers Today show. And that will be probably at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm hoping that will help me get through the backlog. I've got 100 folders of half-finished, half-ready shows, researched and ready or almost ready to go, different subjects. I am, what flavor? They got blue raspberry for him and cherry for his brother. He was very kind. I was wondering if my younger son was going to say, you got to get one for Zachary. And he did. We try to teach him that, if we get a Slurpee for him, we got to get one for his brother, even if his brother wasn't there. And then I put it in the freezer, and it was so cute. He got it out of the freezer when he got home from school, but he couldn't drink it because it was frozen solid. So I had to put it in the microwave for him. And then he was able to drink it much better. And he just said, thank you. And I told him to thank his brother. Those two get along very well. And even though the Cash Clown is 8 and my autistic son is 12, the Cash Clown, Xavier, is really like the big brother because, he's not affected by autism. So he's very protective and very helpful and really has the role of like the big brother, even though he's the little brother. Those two get along very well, and I'm proud of them. So I'm going to have more time, and hopefully we'll be doing more projects here. Richard Warner is asking, should the authorities be knocking on Wilcock's door soon because aren't his money scams caving in? I think so. And somebody informed me that I could file a whistleblower complaint with the state attorney general and show them all my evidence. But I haven't really decided on that. I mean, I'm not really a lawyer or law enforcement officer, so I don't really want to make any statements about the legality of anything he's doing. But I will say that from a moral and ethical standpoint, I think what David Wilcock is doing right now and has been doing for decades is absolutely deplorable. He's taking money for fake stories. He's taking money for fake prophecies. He's taking money for fake books full of prophecies he claims are from angels and information that's secret and sacred that an angel told him to sell everybody for $333. To me, it's such an obvious scam that I don't know how anybody could fall for it. But, here we are. And this is where we find ourselves. Yeah, and I want to thank everybody because honestly, I was kind of dreading doing tonight. Like I said, I saw this video of this woman who has a channel about lizards, and she's just like yelling and screaming. It was a comedic parody. If anybody finds it, please DM or PM or email it to me. But she was like yelling and screaming and getting upset because she's tired of posting pictures of lizards and talking about lizards on her channel. But it's her source of income. It's her job, so she has to. And I'm kind of getting like that with Wilcock. I'm like, what did this idiot say now that I have to correct? But we've done our due diligence, and you'll notice tonight that we have corrected a whole bunch of lies. Check last week's stream. We corrected a whole bunch of lies. That's what we do here. We fact check him and correct his lies. And it does kind of pain me that if he really is getting I don't believe he really is getting 5,000 live viewers. But if he is, 5,000 people are tuning in to hear this guy lie. And we're very blessed. 150 to 200 people tuned in tonight to hear me peel back the layers of deception and show you the truth. But still, it's discouraging, right? Like 5,000 for the lies and only 150 to 200 for the truth. But we'll take what we can get. I am sure that our audience is a smarter group of people than you got to be, like mentally deranged or soft in the head, or what's another polite way to say it, mentally challenged, to watch Wilcock and believe that anything he's saying is true, just based on his history of proven lies. But it is what it is. So we've done our due diligence. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you'll be here with me. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion, and I want to say, God bless David Wilcock. I wish you a road to redemption. You can't keep lying to people for money. You got to do something constructive with your life. It's so obvious that you're lying to people. I don't know how. You look in the mirror every day. Imagine, my friends, the hell it must be to wake up every day. What does he say to himself when he looks in the mirror? You did a great job lying to everybody today. You did a great job lying and saying Ezra Cohen is Shadows of Ezra, and he's the Alliance Communications Director. Anybody can fact check that and see that he's lying. What a hellish existence it must be to wake up every day, look in the mirror, and say, I got to come up with new lies to tell people in order to pay my bills and eat. That's a hellish existence I wouldn't wish on anybody. So despite what people think, I care about David Wilcock. I wish him a road to redemption. I wish him a road out of the hellish existence of having to lie every day of his life. I wish him a road to redemption. So that's all I got, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.